Yep.
Yep.
Right
Hey,
now.
I
Right now.
saw it was happening.
Oh,
You can tell when I'm about to do it because there's a timer.
Yes.
We
But
don't
also
actually listen to the
face.
timer all the time, though. I
Well,
actually
never listen to the
applaud
timer.
Vicky
That's
for
an
noticing
Andy.
your face.
That's your other dad.
I've got like
that's right.
16 now. We got to specify. Yeah.
I'm going to say, oh no, you caught me lighting my autumnal candles. Now close the bathroom
Gee,
door.
you caught me at such an awkward
How
time.
embarrassing.
You almost caught me lighting my candle.
Anyone else having like the image across their brain of Rita Hayworth from Gilda where she does the hair flip and is like, who, me? No? Just me? Okay.
No, yeah, 100%.
Fine. All right.
That's the
Noctis
vibe.
just like hair flipping as he's like lighting a candle, like, oh, I didn't even notice you there.
I didn't even
Listen,
you almost saw me lighting a candle.
listen,
Goodness.
the rebirth of the Autumn Court is not going to pay for itself. If you buy some of these autumnal candles, you can help support the resurrection of a long dead Fae court. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to the Madigans. Welcome to Live from the Apocalypse, first and foremost. If you've not caught us before, we are a not-for-profit TTRPG studio that makes actual play content in the forms of streams and podcasts and things like that to raise money for nonprofits and aid organizations and progressive causes in general. We are currently raising money for the First Nations Development Institute, which is a fantastic and very important nonprofit that is seeking to restore economic independence to Indigenous communities across the United States of America. And so we just ask that if you like what you see here, instead of doing the normal Twitch things like subscribing or giving us bits and lining the pockets of Big Jeff, you can take the $5 or the $6 or whatever you can spare. There is no expectation. And you can instead give it directly to the First Nations Development Institute and skip us entirely. Because we don't need your money. We just play games on the internet. But the First Nations Development Institute will do a lot of very good, important things with it. So if you'd like to do that, you can hit !donate in the chat. The bot will post the link. You can follow that. You can donate. And the McElroy brothers will interrupt. There'll be an alert that pops up. They'll yell at us and it'll interrupt whatever's going on, which, given the session ahead of us, players may be very grateful for. Anytime that happens, also, we will put a fate point into the pool that anybody can draw from. We currently probably have 4. I did remember to put it on the overlay, though. So that exists now. We'll keep track of that as you donate. Anybody can spend from those fate points, so if you want to help the players out, feel free to do that. We cannot stop you from subscribing. That is not something Twitch gives us the ability to turn off. Just be aware that if you do so, beloved Dimension 20 DM Brendan Lee Mulligan will kill a dog. He will kill 1 dog for every month that you are subscribed to this channel. I have been watching A Crown of Candy for the first time ever. And so it would really break my heart if he were to do that, because I have immense respect for the man.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe just donate to the First Nations Development Institute instead and, save a dog this evening.
I'm already responsible for Brendan killing so many dogs on this channel.
It's true. Me too.
But it's not really any of our faults. He's making this choice. He's doing this. We'll be sued for slander one day, I'm sure. And with all of that being said,
it's
all a joke.
If you
For
will.
legal purposes.
For legal purposes.
This is a joke.
We are not aware of Brendan Lee Mulligan actually ever killing any dogs. But you should never take that chance, and that's why you should donate instead of subscribing.
And he did say it once on the internet, and as we all know, if you say it on the internet, it's true forever.
It's true forever.
It's true forever.
Damn it.
There are channel points and reacts and emotes and things like that you can use if you're so inclined, but I think that is most of the housekeeping here. So without further ado, let's get into the Madigans, which is our Dresden Files actual play. We only have 3 episodes left, including this one. 2 more after this one before our good friend Andrew comes back from a work trip and Veilbreakers resumes, which 4/5 of this group are in. So keep an eye out for that. But 2 episodes left to wrap up this intermittent side story. So let's go around and do some introductions about who you're playing, who you are, and we'll go in the chronological order for the ages of our siblings here, which means that Joe, you're going to kick things off.
Imagine, if you will, it's
I love
just
you.
all day. It's golden hour, the best hour. The shadows are growing longer with the season, and you are walking down a path, and you realize that you're not alone. Maybe far in the distance, legend has it, if you just peer hard enough, you can see a very tall man, like around, what did you say, Chaz?
6'3".
6'3". We cut the difference. 6'3", athletic, but like a little kind of like, skinny, like dark black eyes with with gold, almost like a golden autumnal iris, that are they brim with a certain energy, like the right before like a thunderstorm begins. He has long, dark red hair with streaked with gray, and a very interesting coat. If you look just hard enough, it looks like the autumnal forest you're in just continues on behind him within the lining of the cloak. And that's Noctis. He is the oldest of the two twins, the two oldest people of this cadre of siblings. And he wants to rebuild the Autumn Court, and he'll do anything to do it. Even go on a date if he has to. But I'm Joe Gates, and I play that guy. That's another thing. I'm Joe Gates. If you're in the Philly tricolor area, you could probably check me out at Comedy Showgates on Instagram or Facebook. And I usually just promote this stuff. I do Veil Breakers with a couple of these fellows. But yeah, that's me.
And unlike Noctis, Joe loves going on dates. So,
Hey. Is this like a new server promotion that I wasn't aware of? Are you about to start auctioning off dates with your
no,
players?
we're not ready to start talking about it.
We're not ready because we have characters to introduce.
Exactly. So, next in order, the other twin, Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Irish. I play Chaz Madigan, who is the younger twin to Noctis. While Noctis was raised to be the scion of the Autumn Court, they only needed one. So Chaz was left on the wayside for his own devices and is pretty bitter about it. But he loves his brother and he loves his family. He looks a lot like Noctis, except coloring is very, very different. He's very, very pale with darker hair and lighter eyes. But
you're a little beefier too, right?
What's that?
You're a little beefier too, right?
Yes, he definitely he has gotten him some exercise fighting in the war against the Spring Court. He definitely thinks that he dresses like somebody who would not stand out in a crowd, but he is still a Fey Prince, so doesn't really work that way.
Can only do so much. Oh, yes. So next up in the lineup, Rouge.
Hi. I'm Rouge. You can generally find me here on LFTA, but I'm also part of a adult a cappella comedy band, which I can now actually say we are in the process of retiring. So we actually have our final shows in May and June. So if you would like to catch that, please check us out. We're Misbehavin' Maidens. You can find all that info at misbehavinmaidens.com. The G is missing. Make your own G-spot joke here. Occasionally I have been moonlighting over on the Guild Superior Twitch channel, where I have been playing in some 1-shots and 2-shots over there. So I actually have a couple of sessions here and there coming up in a couple different games. One is a modern day Call of Cthulhu game. One is a repeat of it was a Morkborg 1-shot, and we're bringing it back. So I will be in another one-off with that same crowd to play Morkborg again, which is what if death metal was a tabletop game? That's the system / aesthetic. So But
Sure.
otherwise, I will be playing Lexi Madigan, who is the solidly middle child vibes, despite the fact that she is the first in wedlock child of Alexander Madigan. And so, as her mother tells her, she's the only child that matters.
First legitimate child, you can say.
Yeah. The only legitimate child by certain standards. And she has a lot of she just wishes people would stop fighting, guys. Vibes. That, she just wishes everyone could be happy and hug each other and make a big cake and be happy together.
Well, good news. There's no reason to think there's going to be any fighting this session.
There's gonna be no
Yeah.
fighting.
None.
We're all gonna just like have cake and be happy, guys.
Yep. Yes, you are. Liz, you're up next.
Yeah, hi. I am Liz. I primarily just stream with the channel. Right now, just this and Missing Numbers, which is on every other Tuesday. I also design games. Nothing really going on with that right now, though there might be something coming up in terms of like on some channels talking about something, but that's something I'll announce more when I have more details about it. Other than that, I play Ravenna, and if Lexi is the most legitimate child, Ravenna is probably the most illegitimate child of the Madigan children. So, and she just lost a fang. We'll fix that later.
That's just very indicative of the dual nature of
Ravenna is a white court vampire. She feeds off emotion. She doesn't actually use fangs, which is why she has fakes. It's really just for the aesthetic.
Ravenna is 1,000% a character who is about the aesthetic. I believe this.
Oh yes, absolutely. Nothing in common with Liz whatsoever. Completely different. No crossover. But Ravenna feeds off of. She's a white court vampire. She feeds off of lust primarily, though there have definitely been signs that may not have always been the case, and that may not have been the best time in her life. But it's fine. She's in a great place right now, and why would we ever need to revisit or have that ever come up again?
Why would we ever, indeed? I'm sure we won't. And last but certainly not least, Victoria.
Hi, I'm Victoria. I am playing the baby of the group. Not a legitimate child, but the only one that kind of got claimed to like take on the legacy of dad. She's a apprentice wizard, so she's a baby wizard, but was not always that way, and spent a lot of her formative years being, largely tolerated / ignored by dad. She does, however, have like a goddad who marked her with power, who has currently put a spear through the roof of her car. So that's where we start today. Leah is about 20 years old. She's got neon yellow hair right now that's like chopped off at her chin. She's like warm brown eyes full of life and pick up the colors around her. And she's got like a little bit of a rosy tinted glasses on about most things. But it's like an optimism that was hard won. And she's driving to this D8 that we're all going on. And yeah, that's where we are. I also have nothing interesting on the internet other than this. So yay. And Veil Breakers when that comes back. Yeah.
But do you need anything else? That's the real question.
No. Maybe. I don't know.
Absolutely not. Also, it's the hood of your car. It's not the roof of your car.
So
good
yes,
news
the
there.
hood. Yes. Sorry.
Just the engine, not all the
Considering we're all in the car, that's
business.
kind of an actually important difference.
Yes.
I mean, and like as a body in motion tends to stay in motion, I imagine that that's going to be, crumple zone important.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Which is probably a good thing that my car is like definitely made out of like Midwestern steel, and the crumple zone is quite large.
The older, the better.
Yeah.
As we know. Hello. My name is Will. I run this game, and I'm one of the GMs and the organizers here live from the Apocalypse. I run a bunch of stuff and do a bunch of things, and I'll probably talk more about that at the end. But for now, all you really need to know is that I play everybody else in this game of the Madigans, and there's a social media handle right there if you want to follow it. You can feel free to do so. But yeah, stick around until the end and talk about some other cool stuff that we have going on here. I think that's really all we have to touch on at the moment. So with all that being said, let's dive into the Madigans, shall we? Oh, that's so loud. That's so much louder than it should be. Where's the thing? There it is.
Is it? Is there music playing?
There is music, but it's way louder than it normally is.
All right, I'm gonna have to turn on my own personal music then to just feel like I'm just
okay. I do keep
in my ear, like obviously not like where you guys can hear it, because
yeah. Cool. So, just to set the scene a little bit, you all had kicked everybody out of your house of Madigan Manor in the wake of your father's wake, the wake of the wake, wrapping up. And after you were attacked by a shadowy, dead version of your father that you handily dispatched and discovered was a fetch, a not a changeling, a fey creature normally associated with the Court of Winter that feeds on fear and also can mimic your greatest fear. Took the form of your father, it attacked, and right before it seemed to expire, it issued one cryptic warning. It said, "The sun will set." A bunch of other stuff happened after that. You did kick everybody out. There were some tensions. You briefly spoke with a man by the name of Cesar Oliveira, who seemed to know a bit more than he was willing to get into in the parlor of the house. You realized that with your father having passed away and no other mortal residents of this house, the threshold that protects it from the supernatural would dissipate. And you kind of made the broad strokes of a plan to turn this house into a home for the 5 Madigan siblings who remain, if possible. And right as you were starting to see some success with those efforts, Noctis and Chaz were whisked away to the Autumn Court, to the seat of power, where you spoke with one Lord Veers of the Spring Court, gave you a bunch of information, made a bunch of cryptic promises / threats, and also gave you a little bottle full of lightning with the instruction that if you were to ever need him, you'd simply have to open the bottle and he would appear at your side. And then right after that, you decided to seek out Cesar Oliveira for what some people thought was a date. Some people thought it was not a date. Unclear what Cesar Oliveira thought.
Romance.
But he did invite you out to Fade to Black, the piano bar in the lobby of the hotel where he is staying. And it was on your drive there that you were accosted by a large, shadowy shape with one eye, wearing armor, and carrying a broad-bladed spear that has currently skewered the hood through the engine block and into the asphalt underneath.
God damn it, through the engine?
Through the engine. As that spear hits the ground, it starts to snow. And the snowflakes falling past one of the streetlights is going to pull us away from this moment in time to a different street in the same city where it is also snowing. But it is snowing much, much harder in this time and in this place. There is a fair amount of snow covering the ground and the road and everything. And there is really only one person walking along this street at night through the snow. As we get closer, we see that it is a much younger Leah Madigan. Would you like to describe Leah Madigan at 16 years old, Vicky?
So she looks young. Like, she's, middle teenager, but she probably looks like she's really about like 13 at this age. Like just a bunch of limbs, and she it's cold, obviously it's snowing, but she's also a teenager, so she's a little bit of an idiot. She's got one of those like Muppety coats on where it's like kind of shaggy, like in like lime bright green, and it's zipped all the way up like to her chin. She has a clearly homemade like hat with ear flaps on with little pom-poms on the strands and mittens that match, in like just riotous neon colors. And her hair is like longer at this point, and it's like half blue and half green. And she's got leggings on that are like pattern, like Fair Isle pattern with like little snowmen, and snow boots, like the snow boots being kind of the only thing that's like really weather appropriate. And she's obviously doing the like, I already had my like angry tantrum set of things, so now I'm in my like sulky tantrum stage, and we're like scuffing the boots through the snow as she's walking. And like super cold, but like we're not gonna go back home right now because like I'm still mad about things, kind of feel. And like her like the skin of hers that exposed is like bright pink and like definitely should be heading inside by now, but isn't. As it's like basically storming, and it is Christmas Eve.
And in fact, you were inside very recently. As you make your way down the street, you hear the last words your father said to you before you left his house, after delivering to him the presents that you had made for him, the mittens and the scarf that match your own in different colors. He, barely even glancing at them, waved you away and said in that gruff manner he always did, "Yes, that's very nice. Did you need something else?"
Merry Christmas, Dad.
Pauses for a second, kind of half turns his head so that you see him in profile by the firelight. He says, "Huh. Is it?"
All day. Well, tomorrow. It's Christmas Eve. Amalthea made gingerbread. Really good. That's why Mom and I came over. And the presents.
Of course, yes. I'm just in the middle of something right now. Maybe we could speak later. Tomorrow, perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, anytime.
You know where your room is.
Yeah, I have to get Mom home. But yeah, maybe after.
And you receive no reply from your father after that. You take your mother home, and in the vain hope that there may still be
just
some
fucking grip it and rip it, baby. Slop that down, dude. Shit, yeah, dude. Crack one for the big boy.
Thank you so much for the donation, anonymous donor. We appreciate it so much, and I have put a fate point in the pool.
Yay! Ability for us to do more dumb things.
You got that going for you.
Like fight a god.
Yeah.
Like fight a god.
Fight God.
He started it.
You know what? You're not wrong. With those words still ringing in your head as you make your way back to your father's house in the vain hope that he might talk to you, show you some warmth or kindness. Yes, my birthday is Tuesday. Thanks, Mom. That's a different stream. There will be a stream. I'll talk about it at the end. Thank you again. Also, thanks, Will's mom. I guess that was you. It came in as anonymous. You hear, Leah, the sound of barking, the sound of dogs, which doesn't strike you as strange or unusual as first, except that there are slowly more of them. And instead of just hearing them spread out around the neighborhood, they all seem to be coming from one direction, and they seem to be coming closer to you. You hear them getting louder until you can clearly hear them at the end of the street that you're on. And as you look over your shoulder, you see what can only be described as a pack of dogs. Black dogs with glowing red eyes that round the corner and immediately clock you and start charging towards you, kicking up snow as they move, throwing it left and right. And before you know it, you are surrounded by about 10 or so of these baying hounds the size of like a bicycle each. And they're kind of moving around you, stopping you from going anywhere, barking at you, howling occasionally. And you're wondering, you're standing there and you're not sure, like, why is nobody coming out? Why is nobody checking on this? This is so loud, but you don't see lights flickering on in any of the houses around you. You don't see anybody coming out onto their porch. There are no cars around or anything like that. And then shortly on the heels of these dogs, you see a group of figures on honest to God horses turn onto the same street where you are. And in a much more leisurely pace, now that the hounds have kind of backed you into this circle, kind of just trot their way over to you. And there's one out of all the rest leading them. He's a tall figure. He wears hunting leathers, which is crazy to say, and even crazier for Leah to see. And he has a helm on his head with antlers branching out, making it impossible to see what he looks like. And he moves farther ahead of the rest of them. He approaches you.
I would like to say that initially when Leah heard the dog sound, she was probably really excited about it. And like it wasn't until they actually appeared that she was like, damn it. Yeah. So like she's been like turning in a circle with like the mittened hands out, being like, it's okay, puppies, it's okay.
They are not placated by you telling them that it's okay.
I imagine. But so when the like figures come out, it's like, oh, good boys. These are yours. I've never seen. They're very well trained.
The figure looks at you with these yellow cast eyes from within the shadows of the helmet and draws a little bit closer to you and says in this resonant, inhuman voice that bears with it, it echoes even more than it should from inside of a helmet, and says, "Mortal child, you have been caught by the wild hunt, and you now face a choice. Join us as one of my hounds, or try your hand in battle against one of us."
Oh fuck. Okay. And like you're gonna like she like visibly like screws up her courage of like shit, this is like as weird as it was, at least there was a possibility that this wasn't quite as fucked up as I thought it was gonna be. And she'll like scuff a little bit of the like snow away in front of her to like get a better grip with the like ridiculous like pink snow boots that she's got on that probably are like, you know, like in still like kid sizes effectively. Uh, uh yeah. Uh uh I choose you. I'll choose you.
That was not an option.
That you said I could fight one of us, and then so that you're included in the us. If it's this or a dog, I am choosing you.
Pauses for a
Sir.
long time at that.
Thing.
Kind
Lord.
of looks. Yeah, he pauses for a long time at that. Kind of looks back at the other people on horseback in a distinctly like, you guys hearing this kind of gesture, and then looks back at you and says, "Perhaps you may be confused.
Very, but you said us, so I'm picking.
You wish to fight. You will die."
My choices were dog or combat. There's a chance that you are underestimating me.
Before the figure with the antlered helm can respond, there is a big, rolling, jovial laugh from the assembled people standing off to the side on their horses, and another figure breaks away. This one is perhaps not quite so tall as the man in the antlered helm, but is definitely broader, very bear-like in his build. And as he draws closer, you can see a few things about him. He is not wearing a helmet, and he has this sort of long, wild tangle of white hair, not gray, snow white hair, kind of cascades down over one eye, but the other one that you can see is bright and icy blue. And he has a coat of mail on and a red coat over that is belted around the waist. And slung over his back is a large, broad-bladed spear. The man in the antlered helm looks at him as he breaks away from the pack and says, "Kringle, she chooses to fight." Kringle presumably nods and says, "So she does. I'm intrigued. I will face her." And he swings down off of the horse, takes the spear off of his back, kind of holds it lightly in his hand. The dogs part as he moves closer to you and then kind of form again, trapping the two of you in a circle together. And he towers over you, he looks down at you, and he says, "You do understand that whatever happens from here on happens."
I mean, I didn't choose you, I chose him. But yeah, I'm like, and she's gonna like take off her mittens and like shove them in the pockets of the ridiculous green coat and like flex her fingers a little bit, which are already like not, bright red and like half snow, like frostprint. And yeah. So yeah, old man, you think I haven't seen bullies before? The your friends are gonna watch and laugh, and you don't know what I'm capable of.
he throws back his head and laughs, that same sort of deep belly laugh, which does in fact shake as he laughs. He kind of puts his hands on it, and he looks very Santa Clausy in that moment. But then,
yeah, I feel like she's gonna take the opportunity, like when he's got his head thrown back, to like the one trick that she's ever been able to do with air, like being able to do this like dust devil kind of like maneuver that usually like she's only ever used it to move herself, but like it's icy right now. Like we just scraped off a bunch of the snow right where he's standing in front of me, and you know, like he's not looking at me right now, so it might be the world's worst sucker punch, but we're gonna try it anyway. And she's going to like slam her hand down onto the ground, like kneel in front of him and make the Greek word for wind, which I have written down but is not actively in front of me right now, so you all just have to trust that that's the word that I'm saying, and basically try and like trip him over me on this icy ground while he's paying somewhat less attention.
And he throws his head back and laughs, and you do that. And you slam your head on the ground, you say the magic word, and this gust of wind kind of comes under one foot, slides it just enough that it throws him off balance. His arms pinwheel for a second in a very undignified manner, and the next thing anybody knows, a gasp goes up from the assembled onlookers. The dogs fall silent as you put Kringle flat on his ass.
And she'll like duck, and the like the spray of snow that he sends up will like settle in front of her in this like sort of like half dome wall of these little particulates, like the ice crystals in the air throwing off little rainbows, as she like basically waits for him to retaliate and like slice her head off as he lands on the ground and be like no dignified sounds, nothing, like head not even coming up to see if like he's actually down, just like creaking one eye to be like crap. Yes,
it is silent for a second. There is no noise from anybody watching, and then another laugh splits the air, and he sits up, puts one arm, he kind of holds himself up with one arm, other hand is resting on the spear, but he's not pulling it up or anything like that, and he continues to just laugh, and he looks at you through this barrier, and he says, "What is your name, child?"
And she'll like get up to kneeling, so she's like kind of on eye level with him, like still much smaller. Orally Madigan, you were bested by Leah Madigan.
Leah Madigan. Perhaps Leah Madigan. Tonight, there is a third option. And we're going to cut away from that and back to present day, where there is currently, you are sitting behind the wheel of your car. There's a spear jammed through the hood and through the engine block. And on the other side of it is a big bear of a man with a tangle of wild hair, snow white, wearing a suit of mail and a red coat buckled at the waist. He leans forward, and you see from behind that tangle of hair that falls down over one side of his face, the empty eye socket.
Yeah, Justin, fucking grip it and rip it, baby.
Hey, thank you.
Slop that down, dude. Shit, yeah, dude. Crack one for the big boy.
What would you like to do?
She's going to like throw open the door and like take one knee on the ground. And the rest of you can see like her right eye gets this like almost like cataract kind of cloudiness over it, but it's like a gray and like iridescence at the same time. So like depending on like how she moves, there is a little bit of a like rainbowiness to it, but almost like storm cloud kind of cloudiness over the one eye, not unlike what happened when she was checking out Cesar last time. And she's just gonna immediately go like, my lord, I'm here. What do you need of me?
He stands over you. He lets go of the spear for the moment, leaves it sticking out of the car and in the ground with the haft just sort of trembling in the air. He steps over to you where you're kneeling. He leans down and says, "You bear my mark because you think yourself worthy. But you are not, so I think I will take it back." And he grabs your face with one giant hand, and you feel a burning sensation spread from your eye through the rest of your body in this excruciating blast of pain, worse than anything you have ever felt. And you are going to take 6 stress.
Okay. Yeah, we're just screaming, as one does when this happens.
And when he moves his hand back, when he removes his hand from your face, there is no eye there. There is just this scarred mass over where your eye used to be. We're gonna roll for initiative.
Sheesh.
So everybody roll alertness for me.
Yeah. So 6 stress is gonna be fun. Okay.
Does Kringle have more than my supernatural speed?
He does not.
Okay.
So you do go first.
I'm not going to roll it.
My alertness is...
I mean, at the scream, Chaz probably would have darted out. Yeah.
Yeah. I figure everybody's going to get involved in some way, shape, or form, if only because you don't necessarily have a choice.
They were all in the car, right? This is all happening of like, he's on the hood and he reached through the windshield of our fucking car. We're all in. That's the
I got out. So he didn't reach through there. Yeah.
Okay.
Leah got out of the car and kneeled on the ground. So he kind of came around to the side of the driver's side and then did that. So you all saw it from inside the car.
Cool.
Does anybody have
Did
more
we
than
decide who was in front seat versus I assume the rest 3 of us were in back seat?
Oh, we might have actually. I feel like we talked about that.
Not too important, but does anybody have more than a 5?
Yeah, I have a 6.
Yes. Okay.
Dang. Cool. Okay.
Okay. Does anybody have a 5?
No.
I have a 5.
Okay. Leah has a 5. What's your alertness?
My base alertness is 3. I've rolled well.
Cool. Anybody have a 4? A 3? A 2? A 1? Okay.
Noctis, this is becoming a pattern.
I would think you'd think I'd be able to put something into awareness, but apparently not.
Alertness, but yes.
Yeah.
-2 for me.
Okay, cool.
We have
Noctis
complementing
is
strengths.
here for emotional support, guys.
We just see him in the back seat rehearsing
I was gonna
lines
say,
for the
I'm
date, putting on makeup.
I'm missing an eye, and I'm gonna be
You're
before
doing great. Keep it up.
You guys are killing it.
I think Noctis is likely in his own head, just kind of studying everything. He's very more cerebral than physical. So I think he's just seeing outcomes and he's like, and now I
Yeah. Absolutely.
I've analyzed every possible way this could go. Oh shit, you guys are already done?
and then the tuxedo masked away. So
exactly.
Operative, no, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Practical question. The 6 stress, is that all physical? Is it all mental?
In this case, it is physical.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Chaz, you have seen
So
your
for
sister
the
get
6
burned.
stress, you would check off like what, the 4 and the 2, or the 3
Yeah,
and the
you
2,
could
the
do that.
1. Okay, or I
Oh,
forgot
okay.
how stress works in this.
Yes,
yeah, you
sorry.
don't go all the way up to 6. It's the sum total of 6.
If you
Yes.
have 6 stress, you can, but most people don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Chaz was watching this. Chaz saw this large man slam a spear into the hood of the car, and knowing Leah's history, was going to let her handle this. As soon as the man took his hand off the spear, Chaz said, "Okay, priority 1, don't let him have the spear back. That's my job here. If shit goes sideways." Sees him put his hand on Leah's face. He says, "I'm not a fan of that." And then he hears the scream, and so he is immediately going to draw a knife and lunge at the hand.
Okay.
In true Chaz fashion.
Is it the same hand that was holding the spear? Is he right-handed?
Interesting. Yes, I will say he is.
Okay, then yeah, he's lunging at the hand. I'm taking this hand out of the equation.
Cool. All right. So here's my question to you. Are you trying to make it so that he cannot use that hand, or are you trying to
Yes.
hurt him?
I'm trying to make it so he cannot use that hand.
So we're going to call that a maneuver, which means that
Okay.
you are going to roll weaponry,
Okay?
and he's going to try to resist. And if you beat him, then you're going to put an aspect on his hand, essentially, and you'll have a free tag of that aspect that either you can use or you can throw it to somebody else, but basically he will not be able to use it anymore.
That is my intent.
Cool.
Hate the way this book is set up. Okay.
How'd you do? Also, that book is set up the worst, yes.
It's the worst. I'm like, damn it. Need to remember stress stuff. Why is this awful? Sorry. Go ahead, Chess.
It's not great. I got a -1 on the roll. My weapons are very high, but I would like to improve this.
You got 6 fate points
Okay,
that you
I
can
would
pull
like to
from
use
before
one.
you even touch your own.
I would like to use, and I'll use one of those. We have a lot of those. I would
yes.
like to use one of the pool. With the final, do it myself. I was like, I have to take care of this because the people in the car, this is not normally what they do.
Very cool. Do you want to reroll or do you want to add 2?
I would like, and I reroll all of them or a chosen number.
You reroll all
I'm
of
going
them.
to reroll because I'm sure that I can get better than -1.
Very likely, yes.
Even +1 is not ideal. Oh, can I hold this up to the camera?
Is that a
So I
good
want to
out?
make sure you don't think I'm lying at this 6665.
Oh,
Dang.
yes. Hell yes.
So that would be a 9.
Hell yes. Okay, cool. I was nervous. He got a 7. I was like, there's no way.
Woo-hoo!
9 is better than 7. So absolutely you do it. You slash at his hand, and while you probably don't take it off, it does kind of close into a fist, and you have a free tag of the aspect. We'll call it needs a hand, because this
Yeah.
game is stupid.
Perfect. Love it.
And he has a knife wound in his hand now. Because you got significantly better, I'm also going to let you know, I'm going to say nobody else sees this except for Chaz, but where your knife blade makes contact with his hand, it starts to smoke.
Can I shout something as well at this point?
You can. Would you like to make a lore roll? I'll let you make a lore roll for
Just
free.
Put my
Okay, sure. And that's a 0.
You want to use our aspect of growth before all Hallows?
Sure.
You could.
Because we share lore. We talk
Yeah.
shop.
No. Chaz and Noctis talk lore all the time. It's not my thing, but I've heard some stuff. I'll use one of my own for that.
One of your own fate points. Cool. I dig that. Are you adding 2 to that lore?
I'm just going to add 2. I rolled a 0 and I have 0 in the skill. I'm going to take a 2.
That makes sense. I love that. What I will tell you with a 2, with a fair, this is a complicated entity because Odin is a Norse god. Kringle is a king of winter.
Mhm.
He appears to be standing in his aspect as Kringle, which means that he might be susceptible to cold iron. You don't know.
Okay.
But it is possible that this is just because he is currently in his role as a king of winter, as opposed to the Norse god Odin.
Okay.
Hard to say.
That is interesting because of what we were trying to do with the fetches who are currently pledged to winter.
Yes.
Quick question. When I cut my knife through the fetch's throat, did it smoke the same way?
It did, because all Fae have the vulnerability to cold iron.
Okay.
Are your knives cold iron?
Yes.
Oh,
For
that's
the purpose of Dresden Files, any type of thing that has iron in it counts as cold iron. So, like, steel is cold iron. Bullets are probably not, because they're,
Lead.
primarily lead. Unless they're like steel jacketed. Anyway, so you stab his hand. You see it start to smoke. He roars in pain like a bear. Are you doing anything else?
I'm just shouting, "Get back from her, creature! You claim to be Kringle."
Nice. I dig it, which means that it is now Ravenna's turn, actually.
Get in there, girl.
I think Ravenna is actually first priority is just going to be getting Leah back from this thing. So she's just coming out very quickly and running and grabbing Leah, picking her up, and just moving her like further away from this. Like at least two of us. Well, I have the recovery, and if nothing else, Chaz is used to being in fight. So at least two of us are a little bit more rough and tumble, and want to let the people who are a little bit more magic-y, kind of also the one who just got severely scarred and traumatized, not be near this guy.
I dig it. So here's the question for you. You were gonna like Vampire Diaries blur out of the car and pick up Leah and run away. I'll give you an option. You can either do this as a maneuver, which will give you an aspect that you have a free tag of that you can also throw to somebody else, or you can do it as a block, which means that if Kringle wants to attack Leah again, he will have to overcome the strength of your block first.
I like that.
Okay. So then I'm going to say, because you are just running away, we'll do that with athletics. That's a thing, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Is that considered sprinting?
I will say yes. I will give you the benefit from inhuman speed. Yeah.
Okay.
Zoom in.
Those vampire zoomies.
Vampire zoomies, well-known phenomenon.
I mean, kind of is.
My curse with fate is I can never, ever roll well. It is just picking stats that can overcome that. So on that note, my +4 that I would have at a base is a 2 on the roll.
You can re-roll if you want, or you can add 2, or you can just let it stand. Totally up to you.
Important question. Have we gotten our refresh at any point?
You have not, because you have not gotten a single moment to rest.
That's kind of what I thought. Despite being a giant mess, I'm still rocking only 1 fate point on the sheet.
We've got 5, and we've never used them.
I guess I will pull from the pool because it is protecting someone
Do
else
it!
also.
Go for that joint pool. Some of us have almost no skills, so we've got all of our own fate points. Hey!
That's true.
Is that you and me, Rouge?
I have so much refresh, y'all don't even know, because I'm essentially immortal. Like, I am way outclassed by everybody else in this game. Literally, all I have is my ability to use my own fate points.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
So we're actually.
I would have abilities if I had not currently been like ripped an eye out. So it's great. It's
fine. Are you?
Everything's great. Everything's great.
Liz, are you doing my body as a weapon?
Yeah, I think that is cool. Actually, I think this is homesick. Because this is protecting family.
We love a positive application of a trouble aspect. I like that. Okay, cool.
Lovely.
You scoop Leah up and you move Leah away. Did you re-roll or did you add 2?
I re-rolled and got it 5.
Great.
Because, 4 added
Okay.
to the 1 I rolled on the dice.
So you've created a block strength of 5. He will have to roll higher than that if he wants to try to hurt Leah again. You are protecting her, and you have moved her away. Which means that next up in the order is Kringle himself. And I think, yes, Noctis.
Are there reaction moves? Like how does defense happen if like somebody's in Dresden, somebody's like pew 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 pew, like Matrix style with guns, and I'm just like, no, I have a shield spell. Like, are there reactions?
Yes. So you would have to set up a block to do that, and generally speaking, that has to happen on your turn. So if you want to protect somebody, you would do it on your turn, and then it would stand either until the start of your next turn, or until or longer, depending on how much you invest into it.
Got it.
Cool. The big deal I've always found for non-combat characters in this is setting an aspect on the scene on your turn of either a free +2 for us or a free -2 for him.
If you use a maneuver to put a thing on the scene, then you can just stockpile all of them and then throw them on one person with like the Buster Sword or whatever.
I like alley-oops.
Yeah. In this case, it is Kringle's turn now, and he does appear to be pretty singularly focused on Leah Madigan. So Ravenna, you scoop her up and you move her away, and he's going to forego. I think he starts to reach for the spear sticking out of the hood of the car, but then his hand pains him so much, it's still smoking lightly, that he kind of draws it into a fist, and instead he just leaps over your head, Chaz. He leaps over your head towards where Ravenna has moved Leah to, and with his left hand, he just kind of tries to bring it down as like a hammer on top of the two of you. So we're going to see if he can actually do that with your block strength being what it is. Is not looking great. So here's what I'm going to say. He rolled exactly your block strength. So what's going to happen is he is going to basically land. Ravenna, you move Leah away faster than any human should be able to. You have her in your arms, and you kind of look back and you see him leaping at you and bringing his fist down on where you are currently standing. And he does it, but you kind of throw yourself and Leah out of the way at the last possible second, and his fist just slams into the asphalt and creates a spider web of cracks underneath it. And he is going to yell in frustration at you, Leah, and is going to say, "You were never good enough. You were convenient until you weren't anymore." It's Lexi's turn.
I'm gonna go with as like Ravenna.
Lexi, not Leah.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
It is
sorry.
it is Leah. Sorry, it is Lexi's turn. Leah, you are next.
Sorry. I'm not done. Okay, you're good.
I was gonna say it wouldn't be a family if we didn't get two names confused.
It's true.
Gotta work the
Lexi,
dog's
Leah,
name in there
Lauren.
sometimes.
My family, my mom is one of 6, and we also at one point had a dog named Chrissy, and there were so many K names that it was just like legitimately funny to listen to the Kevin, Katie, Chrissy, like just dialogue of just like going through all of the names. But anyways, we all know
who you are.
We all know how it is. Your own parents forgetting your name. Anyway, so Lexi is watching this all happen, and of course Lexi is not a powerhouse. So I think what Lexi wants to do is, so Ravenna is trying to drag Leah out of the fight. I think Lexi is going to try to create almost like a false image of Ravenna where he just smashed. She's going to actually try to create a false image of Ravenna stepping into that space and trying to actually like start a fight with him.
Okay. Like trying to go
Cool.
toe to toe with him.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I like that.
Yes.
I like that a lot. Is this a rote for you, or are you just doing this off the cuff?
This I'm almost certain is going to be off the cuff because her rote spells are, well, she has Trick of the Light, but I feel this is a little much for Trick of the Light.
This would be a little bit more than that, I think.
I think if I was just trying to say they just like, I'm trying to like make the image of they like dart in one direction of like what Ravenna was already doing, I could think I could swing that for Trick of the Light. I feel like me creating a whole false image of Ravenna stepping up and be like, fuck you, let's go. Like, I feel like that's not quite the same thing.
Yeah. So what I'll say, this is going to be a contested roll, but you are going to be creating a maneuver. So you decide how many shifts of power you want to put into this spell, and that is what he's going to be rolling against with his own.
Would this count as offensive or defensive?
This would be defensive in my mind.
Control or power? I'm sorry, I'm still...
No, you're good. You're good. This would be, currently it's for power. So you're not rolling anything yet. You're deciding how many shifts of power you want to put into it. Every shift.
No. But I'm just looking at my spells workshop sheet to know what my base scores are.
Cool.
Okay, so power.
Power's based off
I'm gonna say 4.
Okay, 4 shifts is very good. Cool. So you, what's your conviction?
My conviction is 3, but I do have as far as a
focus item.
I have a focus item of a bracelet which adds to defensive power.
Very cool.
Which I think applies here.
It does. It definitely does. So you will take 1 mental stress, and then you just roll discipline, and you just have to get higher than a 4. Totally.
Oh my god.
No.
Did you roll much higher than a 4? Did you roll much lower than a 4?
I rolled a -4.
Hell yeah. Well,
which was my base score of 4 means I rolled a 0.
Well, you got 4 in the pool, and you were just bragging about how many fate points Lexi has. So
true.
That's true. Can I? Yeah. Let me tap something, please, for the love of God.
You can't.
Oh no, life is hard.
It's not Photoshop, it's photomancy is pretty perfect for what you're doing right here.
We'll go with that. This is literally the only thing I can do.
Yeah.
And if I re-roll, right? That's what it is.
Or a 2, but on a -4, I would recommend.
We're gonna go with a re-roll. I should have taken the 2.
No.
Statistically, that's impossible. Did you get another
I rolled
-4?
a -2. It's the same. It's the same.
I mean, -2.
So I rolled a 2 as my base score.
That's not the worst.
That's not that bad.
That's not that bad.
You know what? For literally the only thing I'm able to do is illusions. It's pretty embarrassing. It's pretty fucking embarrassing, guys.
Listen, you're not used to doing combat
talking.
magic.
Don't you let
I don't do combat. I normally use my illusion magic because I like shoot photography for weddings and shit.
Yeah. No, I think that makes total sense. You know what? I will tell you. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, but first, I want you to roll. What is it called in this system? I always forget. Alertness again. I want you to roll alertness.
Okay.
Oh, no. Are there more of them?
We're retiring these dice. I just rolled a -4 again, which means my alertness came out at the -1.
Statistically impossible.
These dice do not like me. Fuck these dice.
Cool. So you create an illusion of Ravenna standing there, but the details are not quite right. This is
like, in my mind, Ravenna is like a brash, in-your-face person.
Yeah.
So part of me goes, this is such an easy image to imitate. But then the problem is, I personally have had so little interaction with Ravenna, and she's never personally gotten in my face, that as soon as I try to like create this, I'm getting all the details wrong.
I have a really mean thought that
do it. Do it.
I mean, I'm gonna run it by you. You can tell me if you want this to be the case or not, but I'm just picturing like the makeup is like so thick and bad. Like it's just awful. It doesn't look good at all.
It's a caricature of what I think Ravenna looks like.
Right. The clothing is like way too revealing, like barely wearing anything. Yeah, absolutely. Very insulting illusion
it's when
of
you're mad at her, it's what you imagine her as.
It is a caricature of Ravenna in the worst possible way.
So what I'm going to say in that case is that Kringle doesn't even pause. You create this illusion and he barely glances at it, and he just swings his arm through it and just kind of dissipates it into like motes of light, and then keeps coming after Ravenna and Leah. And Leah, it's your turn.
Yeah.
You just had your eye burned out.
I just had my eye burned out, which means that this is actually going to be real hard. But that's yay. Okay. So I feel like as soon as Ravenna picked her up, the like screaming just turned to sobs. So like because like not only are we, in a lot of physical pain and possibly have no eye, that like the shit that he's saying is obviously like the worst from him, like a thing that I would have expected to hear from Dad, but not so much from God Dad. So yeah.
He's the Godfather.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's going to use one of her rotes, because I think that's kind of the only thing that she could manage right now. And she's going to put up the that like wall of water droplets that the little like mist that throws off stuff, which is defensive magic. And specifically the Dust Devil shielding, rather, excuse me. The water droplets is counterspell.
Cool.
So she's going to do the like Dust Devil defense. So we're gonna like swirl some snow around the two of us, and that's 4 shifts of power.
Cool.
Yep.
So you just have to roll to control it, basically.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, you just have to roll to kind of like, I don't know, aim it, but we'll call it discipline anyway.
Okay. Neutral, negative. So, and then that is 4. Not the best, but it's fine.
4. So block strength of 4.
Yes.
Cool. I'm
sorry,
cool.
5, because it's
5.
air specifically.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Block strength of 5. Very cool. That's all you're doing, I'm assuming?
Yeah, like just to, like Ravenna's getting us out of the way, so I'm going to basically make it harder to get us on the outside. So there's going to be this like swirling, like the snow and the like basically like leaves and pine needles and whatever is going to kind of fall between Ravenna and I and this image of Kringle.
Amazing.
Behind us.
And against all odds, it is Noctis's turn.
My God, what do I even do?
You get to participate.
Can't tuxedo mask your way out of this one.
Thank you. Thank you for leaving some of the combat for me. Noctis like frowns, and I just want to say for effect, like is sitting in the car and like just like like snarls almost like a lion and is like outside the car, like almost like blinks. And he like starts like stomping and almost like in a glide toward Kringle, and like he like whips like out of his coat comes this gnarled looking cane, and like he grabs it, and then like suddenly it's a sword cane, but not the end that you think. So like it doesn't come off like this and become a sword. It's at the other end, and this becomes like this kind of like weird, kind of gnarled wand almost. And he just yells. He says, "Kringle!" And he says, "Do not mess with the Madigan clan." And he like stops and he's almost hovering, and like suddenly wind and leaves start like rising from nowhere. And I want to say he's like, "Even gods fear something, and I'm going to be your worst nightmare." And he like growls, and like the wind and like shadows start fucking like rising around the area. I'm going to cast your worst nightmare.
Amazing. That's one of your rotes, correct?
It is one of my rotes.
Interesting.
But you're going to have to walk me through this.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I have a shift to 4.
Okay.
And just to make it easy, I have a total of like let me see, power and control of 4 and 4. So 4 here, shifts of 4.
Okay. Amazing. And this is the spell that literally makes people see their worst fear, correct? This isn't the wall of screams?
No, although wouldn't that be fun? That's for later. So that's my defensive spell.
Right.
So
Okay, cool.
specifically, Wall of Screaming Faces. So this is your worst nightmare. It's going to be a psychic attack.
Okay.
And it's like your worst fear is like abound and around.
Right. Okay,
So,
cool.
and like he starts like chanting, yeah. What do I roll?
You're gonna roll discipline. You are gonna control the spell, no problem, but this is to aim it, basically.
Okay.
So how well you roll on this is going to determine how much damage you actually do. Basically, this is a weapon for attack.
Mhm.
And now you are aiming it with discipline.
Great. That is so. I rolled a 3.
Okay. Fantastic. So that is going to be, if that hits, that is going to be a 7 stress hit. I will say there is at least one tag in play that Chaz has if you want to lob it to your brother.
Oh, you mean activate the tag?
Yeah, Chaz has one that he created when he stabbed Kringle in the hand. And if you want to toss it to Noctis, you could apply it to this roll.
Yeah. Is that to me or to Chaz?
So Chaz would be giving it to you. I think Chaz is down to do that, it sounds like.
Yes.
So you can increase that by 2, which will put you at 9. Basically 5 to hit and then 4 damage on top of it. And so he will have to try to get out of the way of that.
Got it. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Amazing.
And it's more of like a psychic attack, if I'm
yes. Yes. Yeah. It is. So that's a good question, actually. What does this look like? Does everybody see what manifests, or just Noctis? And what does it look like to everybody else, if not?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm not quite sure what Kringle's worst fear is. I would imagine a world without Christmas or something like that. I think if like maybe he's done this once before, maybe to deal with a bully, maybe to like show off in front of like some like loose guests or something that were like getting rowdy at some other function. And he's
I will tell
all
you.
Sorry?
Before you get too deep into the description, I will tell you that
Sure.
in this instance, Kringle's worst fear is Kringle
himself. Fear of the self. Great. Noctis has probably warned each of you at one point, like, don't look too closely. Just keep like your eyes softly closed, and like keep a just soft awareness around you, but don't look directly at it. you can feel free to. It won't hurt, but it'll be unsettling. So I imagine like from the shadows and swirling like leaves and wind, like up comes in front of Kringle, like himself in like all of his worst features. Like he doesn't have a pot belly. In fact, maybe it's distended. He is thin and emaciated. He is ravaged by hunger. He has like his sack is ripped. There's blood coming from both eyes. Like and he's just like I couldn't do it. I wasn't enough. And then he like looks at like Kringle and just says, "And you'll never be enough." And so like so like in like menacing him that way and getting in his head. If anybody has any good like extras to throw on there, I think that would be apropos.
I think it's a fetch. I think it's afraid of seeing Kringle because it's going to realize, oh shit, my game's been blown.
Oh, okay. Oh, so Kringle proper. Well,
I mean, I could be wrong.
No, I mean, I think that description is great and amazing, and I love it.
Yes.
So the effect is going to happen. The effect is going to happen no matter what. So that happens. Does everybody see that?
Only if they look directly at it.
Okay, cool.
I would say.
She told me not to do, so no.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I assumed Chaz was going to be like, hell yes, I'm watching this. Leah is definitely not. Like, she's got like...
It's easier for Leah because like you're at 50%, you know?
Yeah. No.
Capacity.
But like this whole time, I've basically like been like covering my face and screaming. So,
yes, absolutely. Amazing. A couple of things are going to happen at this point.
Yep.
Your fear effect goes off. This thing, Kringle stops, shrieks in terror. And in that moment, his form warps and becomes shadowy and much less substantial. And then sort of reconstitutes back into his form, his Kringle self. But sloppily. Details are incorrect. The color on the male and the jacket, the coat that he wears over his male is red. The male is obviously like a silvery material. And when he comes back to himself, the coat is silver and the male is red. He is far too pale. His hair is a rich brown color. Details are just wrong and incorrect. And Ravenna, Leah, first of all, the pain stops immediately. And Ravenna, you see that burn scar over where Leah's eye used to be just kind of flicker and disappear. And your eye is there. It's normal. You look completely fine.
Can I know some of us are thinking it, can I make a leap of logic or do I need to make a lore check?
If you think you know what's going on, you can make a leap of logic. If you want to know for sure, you can make a lore roll, but it's up to you.
I think I'm going to make the leap of logic. Noctis screams, "Fetch!" and he says just like iron, steel, like anything made with cold iron, throw it at it. Leah, child, get up. This is not your father. And like he like raises his like fingers to his hands as he like lets that fall out of his face by accident. So
the fetch looks panicked. There's an expression of panic on Kringle's face, looking around for an exit, but a couple people get to go before he gets to act. And first up is Chaz.
Yeah, I'm going to attempt to trip it, knock it down, hold so I can keep it there.
I think that'll be a fists maneuver.
I'm saying, can I use athletics? Not making an attack specifically or trying to grapple. I'm trying to knock him down.
I'll allow athletics.
Oh, thank you. That is 7.
Yes, you beat him by a lot. So you can absolutely put a maneuver. You can trip him. You kind of take his feet out from under him. He falls to the ground. Leah, kind of reminiscent of that first night when you met the real Kringle. He's on the ground. You have a tag that you can share if you want to. Ravenna, you were next in the initiative.
Whole time I was trying to come up with a Christmas themed line for this one, and I just don't have one.
Chaz would shout, "Tell us who sent you."
Yeah.
That's. I don't want to kill him yet. The other one committed suicide rather than let us talk to him.
Well, I think realizing that the immediate danger, at least is reduced, if not gone, to Leah, Irvin is gonna set her down and stroll, but with that kind of vampire speed that it's not like actually that slow of a walk over to this thing. And as she does, she's digging around in her purse she has on her. And I don't think this is too much of a stretch to say she has these based on her history with fetches in her past and like probably pissing off some people in that space. That I was thinking about it, and I think for her a little bit of cold iron. She just has some like a small set of brass knuckles because she mostly uses her fists anyway, but some like iron brass knuckles for if Fae get like squirrely. Or maybe even those like self-defense rings that are like kind of cute, but also work, like have like little points on them.
Yeah, the ones that look like cats.
Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, she has the bunny ear brass knuckles, but they have iron in them. Yes. Yes, absolutely. She puts those on her fingers and walks up and just starts to pummel this fetch.
Okay, cool. Make a fists roll. Yeah. Well, okay, here's what I'll ask you. Are you trying to keep it from running away, or are you trying to hurt it?
That is a great question. I think so. I'm gonna make a case back to you. I think the practical answer here is to make it not run away. I think homesick Ravenna just saw this thing fuck with the member of the family other than Noctis who's been kind of nicest to her, and might be just going for pain. And also just had a whole dose of fear directed at this thing and is probably not in her most friendly tactical headspace.
Yeah, I'll give you a fate point if you attack it.
Cool. Then let's do that.
Roll with fists.
Yep. That is unfortunately just a +1 though.
Okay. And I'm assuming, Chaz, you are not giving Ravenna the tag.
No. It's like, wait, no.
Yeah. So that's just a +1?
Yeah.
Okay. In this particular case, the somewhat less substantial form of Kringle now is probably going to dissolve into just a full fetch form, which is going to kind of shift and bend, and like holes are going to open up as you were trying to punch it. So you kind of just end up punching the ground a lot as it creates these holes in itself and kind of shifts and warps around your blows.
Which I think also works because I also think she is attacking a little frantically and not as like she was almost more smug with pummeling the image of Dad than she is this like just fetch who just got a huge dose of fear applied to it.
Absolutely, yes. And that means that it's Kringle's turn, and Kringle, quote unquote, is going to try to get the fuck away from you all. Try to run away, and we'll see how that goes. Not well. Did not go well. It can move a zone away, but that is all it can do because I rolled a -4.
I'm glad someone else's dice tonight are cursing them just as much as mine are.
Yes. So it is
Makes me
going
feel
to
just a tiny bit better.
So its physical form is going to shift and melt into shadows again, and those shadows are going to kind of like wind across the ground away from you, despite your best efforts, Chaz, and is going to like stop on like the far end of the car, which is about as far away as it can get. And I will say the spear also melts into that shadowy form and kind of rejoins the rest of it as it does that. So it is not far away. It is only a zone away. You can move a zone for free if you want to. And Lexi, it is your turn.
very overwhelmed by everything happening right now.
You sure
but
are.
I'm just going to try to like consolidate essentially all of the light that I can in this area directly onto this fetch.
I love that. Okay, here's what I will do. You see this coming to you. You see this coming at you, and it is going to trigger some of the only kind of combat training your dad or your mom, for that matter, ever really gave you. And your dad tried to like get a lot of lessons into your head, probably harsher than he had to. So I will give you a fate point. I will compel. God, there's so many good ones to choose from.
I'm a mess of problems. Like I'm the normal one, and all I have are issues.
I will compel.
To be fair, who in this game doesn't have issues? Like, let's be fair.
You're not wrong. I will compel. I was supposed to be a lot of things.
I was supposed to be a lot of things.
Among them, you were probably at one point maybe supposed to be a warden or at least a wizard.
Something better than what I am.
So I want you to try to blast this thing with light, and I'll give you a fate point if you do it.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
How much power
1000%.
are you putting into this? This is offensive magic, so your focus item wouldn't apply.
Oh, except for the fact that I have I have a second.
Okay. I didn't know you had an offensive focus item.
I have 2 focus items. My bracelet that my mother gave me is for defensive because she knew I was weak and wanted to make sure I was protected.
Yeah.
And then the one I made for myself is my camera lens that I've repurposed into a magic item for offensive magic. So I think it is one of those things where she just like
I dig it.
Uses her camera flash with added magic behind it to try to like focus all of the light in the area onto this fetch.
Okay, cool. I have a very cool thought for what this looks like, but I need to know...
that's only if it succeeds.
Yeah, exactly. So you have a +1 to control, right? From your camera lens. So you can summon up to your conviction +1 for 1 mental stress. If you want to go beyond that, it costs an additional mental stress for each one.
We're gonna do the mental +1.
Cool. So you're gonna roll discipline. If you get higher than that, you're good to go.
So my discipline is 6. And so we're like basically that's my conviction with my focus item.
Basically, so sorry, your focus item gives you a +1 to control, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your camera? Okay, cool. So that means your conviction is just treated as 1 higher. However many shifts of power you put into it, +1, and then you got a 6 on your discipline roll?
Yes.
Cool. So that counts as both your control and your attack roll. How many shifts of power, including your focus item, did you put into the spell?
Oh, well, assuming I was doing it based on my like knowing what I can do, it's like that would have normally been a 4. Okay. So I'm not as powerful as I am.
I think 4 is as much as the nightmare spell that Noctis did was. So that's
yeah. So like 4 is my like I am literally throwing the only thing I'm able to do full power on it. I'm just much more disciplined than I am powerful. So that was like...
You're going to have to take a mental stress, but...
Of course.
I think you are in good shape. You did 6. You got a 6 on your roll, and you did 4 shifts of power.
Yes.
You did 4 shifts of power, so that counts as basically a 10 is what he needs to get, and he needs to beat a 6 to avoid it, which we'll see if that happens. That does not happen. That does not happen. Okay, cool. So what are we looking at here? We are looking at...
It's literally just essentially like I'm just flashing him with pure light, just like surrounding him. I don't even know if fetches like actually are weak to that or anything. Just my absolute first instinct is like, it's a shadow. So like light will help. Yes. Do the thing.
So I think what the rest of you see here, and Ruse, you can feel free to jump in if you want, but what I think the rest of you see is Lexi, this thing is kind of like sidewinding, almost like a snake between the cars to trying to get away through the shadows. And Lexi, you kind of freak out and panic, and like this training, if you can call it that your father gave you, kind of takes over, and you pull your camera out, and the rest of you see her hold it up and hit the button that sets off the camera lens, not the lens, the flash bulb, and the flash goes off, but the light kind of just coalesces into an orb. You hear like a very sci-fi sounding whine of energy building, and then there is just this shockingly powerful, basically a laser blast of concentrated light that shoots out from that orb that is gathered there and just incinerates this thing. It strikes the fetch in the middle of its body, and it like writhes in pain. From somewhere you hear this unearthly inhuman scream, and then it is just sort of consumed in the blast of that spell as it kind of burns to either end from the middle portion.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. Did I kill it? Is it okay? What just happened? I was like, what?
Noctis is like at her side in like he like puts a hand on her shoulder and he says, "You did so well." That
Is
that
it
was,
dead?
well, they were never truly alive if we have to get into logistics about it, but yes, you defeated it. Good work. It would have gone on to cause more terror elsewhere.
Do you think it had kids?
What?
Do you think it had children? Oh my
Fuck,
god,
I hope
did
so.
I just make orphans?
No. You saved orphans. He like looks at Chaz like, right? And he's like, probably it would have tried to terrify anybody who's susceptible to fear.
They do hate orphans.
Specifically.
They love orphans, but I digress. Let's see you to your sister.
Right.
Very, very good work, everybody.
Right.
Remember, we would like to question one of these times.
I'm sorry, you're right. It was running away, and it seemed like it was the thing to do.
Yep.
Leah's gonna go over like right next to Lexi, and I don't know if there's any like ectoplasm or whatever like left over on the ground, but
Not
she's
in
gonna
this
like
case.
grind her like foot into the ground underneath like where it was before, and like sort of sink down to sit on the, I guess, asphalt of the road. I can't believe it fooled me.
I think Lexi, now that she's like just the base level over her, like, oh god, did I kill a living thing, is going to now rush over and just like full on tackle hug Leah and just oh god, are you okay? Like you're like the eye, you're okay, right?
And she's gonna like gingerly touch around her like orbital of the eye socket. And like, I mean, I felt when it wasn't gone again. I mean, it hurt. Oh, it hurt. But I mean, more than that is like, how did I get fooled? You know, like
This is what they do.
The one outside Dad's house didn't even look like him, right? And I still felt things.
They choose this form for a reason, because it is specific to you, and that you will fall for it. We all fell for it at first, but this was yours.
This begs the question, will one be coming for each of us?
Now we know if you see something and it's scary, punch it in the face.
It can't be a chance.
Leah's gonna like giggle and like fake a like really far away from Chaz like punch at him. Like, well,
Oh.
But it can't. I was willing to believe it was just like a chance thing. I mean, Mom and Dad used to tell me all the time about how scary it was of how many supernatural creatures there were out there that you could like run into, and how like I had to keep my guard up. So one, I would have understood of just like being attracted to how much like fear there might have been at a funeral. Like that makes sense to me. This has to be someone is doing this on purpose.
I mean, we are kind of childhood trauma mobile right now.
But like they're not rogue creatures.
No.
Right? Like most of these, I admit I don't keep up with this stuff as much as I should, since like Dad and Mom just kind of dropped me once they knew I wasn't gonna ever be a wizard, as far as like all this like studying went. But like a lot of these creatures, like they're part of various powers, right?
Yes.
They're not just like roaming the world looking for like whatever they can find. There generally is like, yeah, sometimes it happens, but like one, again, understood, but like two, there's got to be like someone is doing this with like an intent, right?
You're correct. Ravenna, I think, and I to a certain extent, could speak more to the freedom of these creatures. Ravenna, I think you've dealt with more of the ones that have a little bit more freedom or are wild fae, correct?
And Ravenna is like, I think, as you all kind of gathered up, was still kind of hunched over where this thing was, and like upon you calling her name, like stands up and kind of like straightens her clothes, is putting up the brass knuckles, and turns around and like looks normal and has like a smile and is putting on, but like in her eyes there's still a little bit of like a feral predatory look to them. That's kind of just like a little bit of shakiness there, and then she kind of blinks a little bit and they kind of go back to like her normal expression, and she just kind of clears her throat. And yeah, they some do act on their own, but well, they like easy targets, orphans, as I believe were mentioned earlier.
Orphans, yes.
Not necessarily changelings, wizards, and vampires as a common easy prey target. So no, these were most definitely sent by someone.
I should have known what it was. I like, and to believe it was him like that.
Don't blame yourself. I was convinced and thought he might have a message for us.
Yeah. And she's gonna turn around and be like, "Is my car okay?
Is the car okay?
Your car is not okay.
I was hoping since my eye was all right, the car. So we were like, "We did that."
No.
No.
That was full on like,
No.
fuck
No,
you.
no. Don't look at the car, honey. Don't look at the car.
Oh, it's so hard to find one that runs with the
Not the
bastard.
thing Sunny says, I could attempt something, but my knowledge of the inner workings, I could create something, it just wouldn't last long. I also don't know much about automobiles.
I mean,
I don't think I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's a good idea to try to The little bit I know about magic is like if you don't actually know the thing you're trying to recreate with magic, it's bad. It's bad. So maybe we should just. Can we call an Uber? I've got
We
a
should
phone.
call an Uber. Yeah.
I'll call an Uber. Look, all of you
it's fine.
stand
long
half a
as it's
block
not a Tesla.
away and make sure my phone doesn't like go haywire while I do this. I'm gonna call an Uber. Okay? That we're all good. We're all good.
I think before you can like start typing in your phone, like Ravenna just like sticks out a hand, like, save your money, sweetheart. I'll get us a ride. And like walks over towards the road and is just gonna try and like put on the whammy and like flag down a car.
Full on, like Tu Wong Fu style. Sorry, has anyone else seen that movie?
Yes,
Tu
no,
Wong
I love
Fu,
the reference. Thank you.
Thanks
Yes.
for Everything. Julie Newmar, longest movie title in existence. Fucking Wesley
Yeah.
Snipes, Patrick Swayze, and Jean
John
Leguizamo
Leguizamo.
at their
Yeah.
best.
Definitely. Yeah, no.
Ravenna, roll presence.
Just gonna glide right past that, like, be like,
Yeah.
we're gonna stay on task. We are gonna keep playing this
Holy
game.
shit.
Do not distract me with your
Can I get us
queer
a
movie
limo?
recommendations.
Noctis has a date to get to.
Not
You're gonna
just
arrive
a
in
date to
style.
get to. This
Because
is
that
important.
is, I have a base 4 presence and I just rolled a natural 4 on the
Hell
dice.
yeah.
So that's an
Nice.
8.
Nice. Fucking nice.
100%
Me as a
yeah.
player
So
is ecstatic. Me as a character is just like, fucking Ravenna.
yeah,
We put on the jackets to go out, like to drive.
We all
The
have nice
jacket has
jackets.
definitely the jacket
It's a
definitely
trope.
disappeared off, and she like kind of is waving and has put on a fake shiver as she's kind of like waving, like, oh, it's chilly out here, and she's like waving for the car to slow down.
oh
And
yeah,
like
absolutely.
it's definitely y'all are hiding back, and then the moment someone pulls over, it's the like, oh, and brings everyone out type of thing.
Yeah, a stretch Hummer limo pulls in off of the road, and, like stops in front of you all, and the driver's side window rolls down. There's a man sitting there, and he kind of looks out at you and says, "Y'all right, sweetheart?"
Oh yes, dear. We have somewhere to get so urgently. My whole just some friends of mine, and we would love if we could we get a ride? That'd be really nice.
He like looks you up and down and looks at your family. There's a second, like you said, he was not expecting there to be 5 of you. But he looks you up and down and decides, he kind of shrugs and says, yeah, I'm just getting off shift. Hop in the back. Where you going?
We're going to the Fade to Black.
I know where it is. I'll get you there. And he lets you in the back. He will say, well, do you want to ride up front?
Yeah, that sounds lovely. Y'all, why don't y'all get in the back? I'll take a seat up here.
That
Not just
Morris.
like that Ravenna, like, I hope you know what. Of course, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Morris is the man's name, and he just talks at you for the like 15-minute drive to the hotel. Doesn't really let you get a word in edgewise, but is fairly harmless. And then kind of pulls up out front and says, "See, we're here already."
Thank
be
you so
careful
much,
now.
Morris.
Did you was that your car back there?
Oh, it was my sister's, but yeah, unfortunately, it's just a little bit of an accident.
Like I got a mechanic buddy, does all my work. I can have him pick it up, and I'm sure I'll cut you a deal.
That sounds lovely. Thank you so much, sweetheart.
Yeah, just so nice to see all you out here, and it's been a real pleasure talking to you. And I'll get you. He like reaches up into the visor and like pulls down a business card, his like friend's auto shop business card, and like hands it over to you and says, "Yeah, it should be there tomorrow. You just give him a call. He'll tell you. And you just tell him Morris sent you. He'll cut you a good deal."
Thank you so much. You've been so nice. Stop down. Damn it, I do not have the name for a venue off the top of my head. But stop down and see a show this weekend. I'd love to see you.
I will. I'll
At
be
the
there.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The place was the thing.
Place. Capital T, capital P. It's so cool. It doesn't need more than that.
The place.
Yep.
You could use the one from our last long-term Dresden Files game, which was called the D Basement.
D Basement.
That is very good. Yeah.
That was my character's cousin's BDSM bar.
Yep.
I wish I could have said I came up with that, but that's Will's fault. That name was Will entirely.
I will not apologize for art.
It's kind of funny. Like, you guys joke about it, but like, I was in a Monster of the Week game. It ran for 3 years. It was amazing. We just finished it. Tears
That's a lot of weeks.
abound. But there was a club, and it had no name, and it had no sign, and it was a supernatural club, and it was called The Place, because nobody knew what it was called. So,
I will say,
the universal unconscious of role players just dipping in.
in Andy's Horror on the Orient Express, when we were in France and needed to dig up a trench, and I played, wasn't there a male brothel down the street that we saw? It was misdirection, Mr. Erection, misdirection. Perfect.
Mr. Erection.
That's great. That's very good. You all, the 5 of you, find yourself standing outside of the hotel, and you see the sign for Fade to Black. There is a neon piano where the keys are lighting up one after the other on the sign, and inside,
I thought you were about to say that was like the piano in. And I'm like, I've literally never seen a piano with like neon. That sounds amazing.
Oh, well, now, I mean, yeah, that. But also, you can see through the
now,
window.
the first supernatural bar we go to is the first supernatural dueling piano bar we go to is going to have the like light up keys.
Yeah, the neon
like
keys,
winter
absolutely.
court versus summer court. Just like it's gonna be rad.
We'll see. We'll see. But it does have giant glass windows on the front of the hotel. You can see inside. It's not very crowded this evening. It's getting kind of late. And you do see sitting at a table alone, Cesar Oliveira.
As I recall, the plan was Noctis was going to go up and hang out with him on his own, and the rest of us were going to very casually just also hang out separately in this bar.
I do believe that was the plan, but we will
And
find out.
some of us are still hoping Noctis gets laid.
Right. We'll find out if that was the plan after a break. We're going to disappear for 10 minutes, and then when we come back, we will pick right back up with Noctis's date. So don't go anywhere. Or maybe it's not a date. Who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.
But don't go away. Stick around. Find out. Now introducing our sleaziest, sluttiest jazz music.
Perfect.
From our sexiest ASMR DM.
But like, for real, Dipsy looks for fucking voice actors all the time. Just saying.
I mean, listen, I'm very busy, but you know, hit me up.
It's paid, is what I'm saying.
If you donate, I don't know if I know I speak for the rest of the players, but if you donate money, I don't know if I speak for Will, but if you donate money to us, not only will we get a fate point we can spend, but Will just might, legend has it, he might just say an appropriate but kind of sultry thing.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Anything could happen.
I've learned my mistake. I will never not mute my mic while like walking into the rest of my apartment again.
Those walls have ears. Yeah.
Well,
I really did not think my microphone had such a good like reach. Jesus.
Listen, at least it was nice things. At least you weren't like, this game
I was
sucks.
so afraid
I
when he
hate
was
that I have
like,
to
"Oh
play
yeah,
this
no,
game."
it was totally on." I was like, "Oh shit, she said bad things about it."
It's like, oh, like I have so much fun as a player, but I understand what you're saying, person in my apartment who is talking, just be like, his voice is just like too relaxing. It's
get in the comments. Get in the comments.
Get in the comments.
Get in the comments. Is Will's voice too
relaxing?
Too relaxing.
Well, We're going to find out because we're going to keep on playing this game. So right before break, we left off with all of you outside of the piano bar, fade to black. And through the glass windows of the hotel, you can see seated at a table, Cesar Oliveira. He was wearing a cream-colored suit at the funeral, and he has done away with that. He still has the button-down shirt on and the slacks, but you don't see the jacket anywhere. There are a few more buttons undone on the shirt. And he is sitting back in his chair. He has a glass of something in front of him, kind of a amber-colored drink with some ice floating in it.
Iced tea. Yep.
Yes, iced tea. And
yeah, Justin, fucking grip it, baby. Slop that down, dude.
Okay, well, I know this isn't true.
Dude, crack one for the big boy.
Thank you so much for your donation, Will Sultry voice.
You have a very sultry voice. If you will not acknowledge that, that's actually you, liar.
My voice can't donate. That's what I'm saying. Like, normally, I give people the benefit.
Now
of the
I just
doubt.
know what you mean by that's a liar. That's a liar. Yeah.
He's not donating using your voice, though.
Interesting. I guess that's fair. So what is the plan here? Because I know we said that like
I
you're
don't
going to
think we
hang
had
back.
a
Well, we talked about it a little bit before the break. You said
Madigan clan.
okay, we literally talked about this 15 minutes ago, guys.
We did.
Yeah, it's that Noctis is going to go up on his date.
Yes.
Where the rest of us, because the four of us are going to grab a table.
We're gonna do the TV show sitcom thing where we're gonna sit off in the corner, very obviously watching, and pretend like we're not there.
Be super obvious about the fact that we're like watching his date.
Definitely. Cool. Well, that's fine and totally normal stuff to do. I need the four of you to roll stealth checks.
How about if I use a photomancy roll to make it a little bit decrease that roll by a little bit?
To be clear,
make a photomancy roll.
Stealth is not its own skill, though, right?
It is.
It is its own skill.
Okay, fuck. Never mind. Sorry.
You probably just don't have it.
I don't have it.
Well, there's stealth and there is deceit.
Sorry, I was like, wait a minute, it's different in Fate. Nope. Nope.
So
just
I'm gonna say for this, it's just literally just a trick of the light to try and make sure we are not.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going to use my trick of the light maneuver because I think that this is within the realm of my.
Yeah, that's valid.
If it's literally just like the four of us looking just off enough that we don't look like ourselves when it's like a quick walk to a table or something.
Okay, that sounds good. Go ahead.
I also
so
got
that's a base.
Nice.
And
that's
my supernatural speed says
shifts.
difficulties -4.
Yes. Okay.
So as far as rote spells go, that means that it's just like I just get it.
Yeah,
right?
And in this case, you're not doing it in a combat situation, so actually you don't need to roll. Yeah, you can just vanish.
Yeah. It's just I take the one stress, and I'm just like, we just while Noctis goes and does his thing, we just walk to a table, and like for the walk to the table, we just like look like different people, so that they don't he doesn't immediately clock us.
Correct. That makes sense. Chris, you
That's
get a
not
6.
Plan. Is there anything? I do want to ask him to see what.
That's it. I do think it's fair for Chaz to get his 6 of just be like, we're all sit down at the table and us three are like totally recognizable once you actually look at us. But even if you look at him, he's just like completely different person. Just
right.
Yeah. Well, with the supernatural speed, my stealth target number is 4 lower.
Yes.
So I figured that he just like grabs the siblings and we're sitting down.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're like by the door and then you're at the table. What were you saying, Joe?
Will Noctis was saying something and then there's a slight breeze and then everybody's sitting at the table.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he's like, if there's any questions you want to ask, he says it to himself. And walks over, like, he is like, sometimes stiff, sometimes stubborn seeming. but like he is at his heart like a warm person. He's the person you want to invite to your like friendsgiving. And he's the person that you want, like the first person you want to ask for advice for your like Halloween party and the costume you're putting together. So like he tries to relax like the regal exterior and let that kind of shine through a little bit. And like a smile comes to his face. Maybe even like the dark around his eyes, like kind of lightens a little bit. And he takes a breath and he like just kind of like saunters over to Caesar. And he says, "Is it whiskey or is that something else?"
He will smile and say, "Mezcal, actually."
Ah, smoky. They put that in the ground, don't they? In order to like make it smoke or something like that. I've never really understood the process.
I'm afraid I am not either.
Oh, well, there we go.
He will kind of look around, but not enough to spot the four of you where you are seated, and will say, your siblings could not join us?
My siblings are not currently here. No.
I see.
Why are you asking about that when all your buttons are undone, sir? Okay.
Yes, also.
He undoes another one.
He says, "I appreciate. Did you wish to speak to them, or?"
No, I simply said I would be happy to answer any questions you all had.
They may be along shortly. I believe there's. To say we have car trouble is inaccurate. I would hate to jump straight to the point, and I'd love to visit with you. But we do have some questions as we were attacked by another fetch.
I'll have a seat.
Noctis kind of like pushes aside and like kind of like lays his long coat like down. We also learned something. I was drawn back to the seat of autumn. We learned that in interacting with an envoy, a lord of spring, my first encounter by far of someone that high rank, that fetches do, or were, originally part of the autumn court. But now they have diverged to winter, and it seemed to be let on that winter is responsible for the decline of both the autumn and the summer. I'm sorry, the autumn and the spring courts. I don't know if you know anything about this, but it seems like we are being targeted, if not by some stray Lord of Autumn or Lady of Autumn that I don't know about, probably by the Winter Court itself. And it may have killed our father.
I see.
I know.
You can see as he sits there, he's considering this. He kind of leans back in his chair with the glass still in his hand. You can see that he's wearing a gold chain with a cross on it. Not particularly like flashy or big or anything. It's fairly understated around his neck, but he will think about it for a second and then he will say, "What are you drinking?"
Cider or mulled wine is fine.
Okay. And he will look over at the bartender and nod. And you're not sure if this is you're not sure how this happens, but the bartender kind of like nods back, like he understands perfectly. And then he will bring out a cider and set it down on the table in front of you.
Noctis like arches like a dramatic eyebrow, like a dark red eyebrow, and like doesn't break eye contact and like sips it.
In order to answer these questions, to get into this topic, we may have to start farther back with how I knew your father.
I'm listening, and like he raises a glass and like he does like to talking about history,
He'll toast.
perhaps the future, and then like clinks. So
He will clink glasses with you and sit back, lean forward, actually, and put his elbows on the table a little bit, kind of consider the drink in front of him, toying with it. Then he will say, "These are not happy memories, at least not for me.
understood.
I was, at one time, your father's partner in the Wardens."
What you said earlier was not untrue. You are not a warden, and you are not a practitioner of magic. Then
No longer.
what happened? Like let the silence just like sit. I believe like it's like probably like just a shot of both of them looking across from each other, and then like the silence kind of like eating away.
He kind of glances to the window, and you're not sure if he's looking out or at his own reflection, which is kind of half visible in the glass. But he continues to speak, and he says, "They gave us nicknames within the
Yes.
Wardens. Perhaps you have heard of your father's. They called him
The Mad Dog, yes.
Mad Dog Madigan. They called me El Verdugo.
Not sure if I'm familiar.
It means the butcher."
Not just kind of like tries not to like let anything phase him, and he just like takes a sip of the cider. And there are times when we are in a job and we do what we must.
Your father and I were effective, but I was more than effective. I was enthusiastic, even. It seemed we were doing important work. People use dark magic, they break the laws of magic, and we act accordingly. You know, the White Council, the Wardens, they don't leave room for gray areas. Everything is black or white. I was quite a bit younger than your father. Eventually,
Oh, yes.
you go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you finish.
He's quiet for a moment again. Eventually, I was stripped of my rank. I was cast out. My status was removed from the White Council. And it was made clear that if I ever broke one of the laws of magic again,
You would be destroyed.
and your father would be the one to do it.
I can say living among the Fae, there's a certain sweetness to poetic justice, but I fear I may have gotten my love for it from my father and his work. See, the Wardens are no different.
Magic is a strange thing. If you it's like a muscle.
Mhm.
If you don't use it, it atrophies. Eventually, it faded altogether. I found a different path, and I turned away from magic, and eventually it was gone.
The fabled wizard's constitution, does it still have a hold on you?
No longer. No longer. Magic is the energy of life itself, and if it suffuses you enough, it sustains you. It lets you heal from things you otherwise would never be able to recover from.
Hmm. And your faith that has replaced it.
As I said, a different path.
There are many paths to the same place I'm beginning to see.
In order to let go of the hold that magic had on me, I had to put my faith into something bigger than myself.
I admire that. There are moments where I do or did wish that Alexander had put his own obsession with magic aside, his obsession with destroying monsters, his obsession with perfection, maybe. And perhaps things would have been different. I am sorry that the wardens did that to you, and I am sorry for any consequences that may have happened. That must have been terrible.
I think you misunderstand.
It was a release, a rebirth.
It was the best thing that could have happened to me. At the time it didn't seem like it was so, but I think you misunderstand about your father.
Hmm.
Your father, though we both did unspeakable things in the name of the council, I never regretted it.
Hmm.
It never stayed with me the way that it stayed with him. The way that he tortured himself every time he took a life. The way he stayed my hand so many times.
Hmm.
As wardens, we're not meant to see in shades of gray, but your father, he did.
I'm wondering if there is a moment. Uh, I'm. I will say that I am happy for your rebirth, and I'm glad that happened. And from what you're saying, our Father, stayed your hands many a time where you may have gone too far. Not the Father that we experienced, but it is honestly relieving to hear that. I do wonder. I know he has made many enemies. If he truly saw in shades of grey, was there a moment he spared somebody that would have gotten away, that might send fetches after his children, his wives, perhaps other people he knew? I am sure that you're capable of protecting yourself, but I would hate for any harm to come to you because of us.
Your father made a great many enemies.
Yes.
I would not be able to list them in 7 days. There were plenty of fey lords and ladies that he crossed, who I have no doubt would be able to send some servant or other to threaten him or his family. The question is, why risk it?
Well, the risk, I suppose, is that you know about the wizard's death curse. Father's was intricate, potent, unstoppable. He was murdered in his home. We know this. In the very room that our sister. He was in his study. We had communications with him from beyond the grave. It was simple, no necromancy, we're not. But he was able to place a bit of a message for us. All of his regrets. Everything he wished for us. And we found no body at that scene. So either it was something that dissolved into nothing, like a fetch, but do you think that could have undone the fabled Mad Dog Madigan? Or anybody from the Winter Court would be so ingenious to dodge a curse like that?
I don't. Not knowing your father. I don't believe that for a second. The risk that I refer to is your father was a member of the White Council. To attack him, to kill him, would invite wrath from the Accords signatories. The White Council are signatories of the Unseelie Accords, as are the Winter Court, of course.
Hmm.
The Winter Court sent fetches after your father, then that would be an incalculable risk, inviting open war with the Council, much less the other signatories who would side with the Council.
Hmm. Would Leah's mother fall under that, the Accord?
Amelia,
Yes.
he looks uncomfortable talking about Amelia.
She was attacked by a fetch.
Oh, sorry, you mean Lexi's mom.
Yeah,
Melissa.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Right,
You're
I'm
good.
sorry. Once again, it's
You're
going to
good.
happen again.
It's classic. It's classic.
Yes.
Melissa. Yes,
Melissa, I mean.
Melissa is a member
Damn
of the
it, so
council
close.
as well. I know.
Oh, yeah, I fucked up.
It's all good. It's all good.
Would Melissa fall under that purview?
Melissa Vervain is a wizard of the White Council, yes.
And therefore, she is protected under the Unseelie Accord.
She is.
I believe you have a war on your hand. Well, the White Council has a war on its hand. My apologies.
Not my pig, not my farm. But you have proof that this was a Winter Court attack.
There was a warning. The sun will set, I believe it was. I would hate to get into the semantics and poetry of it, but the sun or the sun. And it pushed itself into my brother's dagger. So, no exact proof. A lot points to Winter Court. They fled my court, and they went to Winter. They're independent ones, but this... I expect a third attack anytime.
Interesting. He is quiet for a moment as he considers that. My thought. Your father's death curse. A death curse is not something that happens automatically. Casting a spell is creating a construct in your mind. You craft 90% of the spell, and then the other 10% you do on the fly. A death curse is similar. The moment of a wizard's death calls up so much raw power, the sum total of all of their strength, everything that they carry with them that they're able to draw upon. And it creates a framework that they can focus in that moment before they die. If Alexander Madigan's death curse had gone off, you would know. And if it didn't, then what that tells me is that with all of that energy and magic that he had amassed the moment before he died, he did something else.
What on earth could it be?
That I can't say, but something powerful. Safe to assume.
He thinks for a second and he says, I would like to think that he perhaps did something in service to his children. But I suppose we could spin our wheels all night.
Whatever he did, he clearly valued it more than his own life.
Yes. I would be remiss if I were to simply sit here and question you. Do you have any questions for us? Perhaps a question I haven't thought to ask yet.
What's your
thing you said.
sign?
It's a Leo, of course. This thing you said, the fetch, the sun will set. Your father spent his life working on something. Long after we parted company and we stopped speaking,
Mhm.
I was in a dark place for a long time, as you might imagine. We weren't in contact, but he never shared it with me. Not completely. But the last time we spoke, years and years ago, he told me that he was working on it with, he told me that he was working on a project with his apprentice.
Who was his apprentice? I mean, there's Leah, of course.
Amelia's an Axis.
Like, his jaw kind of like drops for a second, and he says, "Of course." Hmm. And you have no idea what it might have been? You seemed uncomfortable when I accidentally brought up her name earlier. Did something happen to her? Is that what broke her?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you more. I don't know. I only met her once, and she seemed in good health.
Hmm.
She did not seem so at the funeral. But he only told me one word when he told me what he was working on. Vespers.
Vesper. It takes its term from Vespertine?
In the church, it refers to a twilight service. But the word is older than that.
I am uncomfortable with how this might relate to the Autumn Court itself. I think like August. I'm sorry. I think that Noctis would say, like, try to like send like a little ping maybe to his brother. I don't know. I want to get everybody else like in the scene too.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "I have a feeling that my family is near. I do want to thank you for taking your time to answer my questions. I know
If
you
it's
didn't
easier, if it's easier, you could simply have them join us.
Noctis has like a wry smile, and he says, "You cannot blame us for being cagey around." And he just like gets somebody who's just like a handsome, mysterious stranger, and he goes over and he's like, "All right, the jig is up," and like invites them over.
Noctis, what are you doing here?
I had no idea you were going to come. He says, badly lying. So he's like, and he just whispers to them. He says, "There may be a connection to Amelia, his last apprentice, and whatever he was working on." And he like quickly kind of like does like a couple of bullet points. And he says, "Also, a magical bartender. I don't know what you want to drink, but he knows. He knows."
Um,
And he like helps his family, whoever wants to come over, like come over to the table. And he, sits down.
Did he say
Probably
anything
next
about
week.
working with him around the time of Mom?
Do not know, but he would probably be able to. He knew. I'm so sorry. He knew that you came in. So he's aware the jig is up. So
He's got that same GM NPC magic that the paladin in the D&D movie has, where he just knows everything and can do everything.
All right. Chaz will come over and sit down at the table.
Leah probably wouldn't have come over until they mention, like, until Noctis says her mom's name. And then when he says apprentice, she's gonna like stop halfway across the floor between like the two. Like, I'm assuming like the booth that we were all sitting with our like menus in front of our face and the table where they're sitting, and just kind of stop before like sitting down. So like not quite at the table with them, but close enough that I can hear what's going on. But
Ravenna and Lexi, are you moving over as well?
I
think okay.
Ravenna's only going to leave if every sibling goes over. Like, it's kind of like one of the someone staying behind.
Do you and Lexi just want to sit at the table? Just the two of you?
Awkwardly.
No,
You two of you sit together at a bar.
Lexi follows Leah. Lexi follows Leah.
Okay.
1000%.
Ravenna follows Lexi.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Cool. This is cool. This is like totally casual.
Things are still tense because of that really insulting illusion that Lexi made earlier.
Are you following Leah because Leah was going, or are you following Leah because Lexi looked around and saw that it was just her and Ravenna and was like, well, I'm going?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So yeah, you the three of you can sit close enough, but not necessarily at the same table. Not Chaz, you are joining them at the table. It sounds like. And he will look at each of you and he'll say, do you want a drink?
I'm not old enough. My mom. What? My mom didn't have that kind of power. She wasn't a wizard. She's a practitioner, but like very specific kind of magic that
I met her but once, and he called her his apprentice. I don't know any more than that.
Wait, did you see her do?
No.
Were they together? Clearly?
I was given that impression. Yes. They seem to care for each other a great deal.
Rouge, I think you're muted.
Thank you. I'm sorry, what does our father looking like they care for someone a great deal look like? Because
Sorry.
It's not what we got in the lexicon there, yeah.
just curious.
He blinks a couple of times and says, clearly we knew different versions of the same man.
Oh, okay, you're gonna just like dodge the question. Cool.
Well,
I like you less now.
I can't answer.
She's just gonna
specifically.
like slide over to Noctis and be like, I don't think you should fuck him anymore. He's a shit man.
he looks at her pointedly and just like shadows just flicker a little bit.
Lexi has had half a glass of wine.
Alexis has half a glass of wine and she's full on in it. She's just like full on, all of her opinions, all attempts at being like accommodating her out the window. She's just like, I actually think things.
Two things have tried to kill me tonight, and
and y'all are gonna find out all the things that I think.
I mean, if that is what you wish, sister.
Not to fuck him? Yeah, that's what I wish. He seems like a piece of shit. You deserve better. Noctis, you deserve better. You are amazing.
The only response that Cesar
she's
gives
no
to this
longer
is just
trying to like
blink a
hide
couple
the
of
fact that
times.
she's like saying these things like he can hear it now. She's just like, you're amazing, and he's a piece of shit. Just like it's bad. She's just
she's had a day.
Cesar. Sorry, Cesar.
It's been I can see that. It's been quite a day. It must have been. The Alexander Madigan that I knew was a man of passion.
Ew.
Lexi.
I think that is what drew your mother to him, if I'm honest. There's something
Which
about
mother?
I think we all say that.
Five of us all, which one?
Yeah. Right. Yes, of course. He would gesture to Noctis and Chaz. There's something.
Were you partners back then?
We were. There's something about mortal passion that draws the Fae sometimes. Like they want to understand it, but they can't.
Do you know what happened to her?
I know what happened until she was removed from Alexander's protection after they fell in love, which, as you can imagine, was forbidden.
Okay, and then what happened?
Beyond that, it was not. He pauses for a second and puts a hand up. We were not told. The goal was to separate them. He's quiet again for a second and says,
Did you help?
Separate them.
Mm-hmm.
No. There was no reason for me to. This was a council matter, a council decision. Your mother was a refugee of the Autumn Court. She was under council protection. They simply moved her somewhere else with the two of you in tow. They did not stop their association.
It is our understanding that he was terribly in love with her. He believes it was reciprocated, right? So,
Yeah, there's some debate about whether, Fae can feel love. But yeah, it
or
seemed to
they're
be
just parroting
reciprocated.
it,
Right, exactly.
he believes she was in love with him as well, but she took us beyond his reach and purposefully did not tell him where we were going because she was afraid he would follow. Why would she be afraid?
He looks sort of quizzically at that.
Kind of fill in all the gaps of what I learned from
Yeah.
Smoke Father. So Fire Dad.
His eyebrows knit and he looks between the two of you and he says, "Your mother's name, what is it?" And this is the first time anybody has directly asked you this question. And for the first time, you do realize you don't remember.
Oh,
We were children. She was mother. Can
I
I
also couldn't remember her face in the dream either.
You spent a great deal
Somebody
of time
done
with
fucked
her.
with our heads.
Noctis racks his brain because he says we were on the run. He's like, I remember going to a wild Feyhold. I remember going to summer. I remember going to. Is it possible to be the last vestiges of spring? Is they're well, hop on. And they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. You
and-
remember. Sorry.
Yeah, they addressed her as, and he's racking his brain. If you want me to, I can roll a check, but
You remember all of those things. You remember going to all of those places. You remember playing with other Fae children, playing with human children, traveling around. You don't remember your mother. You don't remember her name. You don't remember what she looks like. And you've never noticed this gap before. But it's always been there as far as you can tell.
He's at a loss and he looks at Chaz. He's like, I don't remember what she looks like or what she was called. How is this possible?
Chaz is extremely pissed at the idea that somebody fucked with our heads. It's like, I'm gonna stab a bitch. I'm gonna find him. I'm gonna stab him.
Certainly, Fey magic can affect the mind, but
Cesar.
Were we white?
Cesar blinks. He looks kind of surprised, a little bit shocked for the first time. And he nods like he knows what's going on, and he says, Dios, all right. And he puts the cider in front of you, Noctis, and he puts the mezcal that he's been drinking in front of you, Chaz, and says, you're going to want to finish those.
Okay.
He leans forward and he makes meaningful eye contact with both of you. Says, your mother was the Lady Cymbeline. And as soon as he says that, it's like you are both hit by a train. as memories come flooding back to you. Just a torrent of them flooding through your brain, things unlocking, things you never even realized you forgot coming back to you. And you see so many things. You see both of you walking through the dead autumn seat of power together with a woman that you can now see. She has a mass of copper colored hair, very similar to Noctis's. And she is very beautiful. You see her face for the first time, and she has, as you might expect, inhumanly beautiful features and eyes the same color as yours, Chaz. And she leads both of you through the forest. You have memories of staying here in the seat of power. You have memories of Alexander Madigan, your father, visiting the autumnal seat of power. And you remember that it was very secretive. You were never supposed to talk about it. And they would converse with each other in low, terse tones when they thought you weren't around, when they thought you weren't listening, like they were making plans for something. Or and you remember them arguing sometimes also. But these are kind of opposite your prior memories, where your mom disappeared one day with both of you, and then Chaz, you showed up like on the doorstep of Madigan Manor, and Noctis, you were raised on the run with your mom, basically. But there are so many memories now of the two of you together, of the two of you growing up together, of your parents being together, even though it wasn't in the mortal world. And it's like completely different lives. And then at a certain point, you come to like the last point of deviation. And you remember late one night, on one of those rare occasions when you were brought to your father's house. Sorry. You remember late one night on those rare occasions when you were brought to your father's house, like listening at the door of the study, the two of you together. And you remember overhearing your mom saying, in this very musical voice, very beautiful and lyrical, "They cannot find him, Alexander. We have to keep him safe. He's the only one. He's the only one who can stop it." He has to stay with you. And then one of you steps on a floorboard that creaks a little too loudly. The door opens. And your father's standing there. Your mother is behind him. And your father he looks down at the two of you. And your mom steps up behind him and puts a hand on his shoulder. And you look up and you see that he is crying. Like he is openly weeping and sobbing. And your mom, Cymbeline, leans forward and she says, "They can't remember."
I figured it was her, yeah.
And your father raises his hand. And that's the last thing that comes flooding back to you.
I think Noctis is like, if he lets him, like holding Chaz's hand and just like shuddering. And like his sibling is like, he tries to be like, strong and regal, but like it's dropped. And he looks so tired and so defeated. Why would he do that to us?
And not like leave any information.
What is it that Chaz, it must have been you. You had to stay with him. You can see it? What is it? The only one who can spot it? Is that what I heard?
Stop it. Sorry.
Stop it. Got it. What do you have to stop?
That would have been great if he could have sent me a pigeon, a smoke signal, just telegram. He just throws back the mezcal.
Like
I told you you'd want to finish it.
how did you do that? How did you break through the truth?
Because with a spell like that, if you're trying not to do lasting, irreparable damage, there has to be a trigger.
You knew that's the trigger he would choose.
You didn't remember it. It would take somebody else saying it.
So there's something. We are in danger, obviously. And Chaz is the only one who can stop whatever this is. And like, I fill in like just enough to Caesar, unless he, like experienced it somehow. What could that be? And this obviously links to Leah and her mother. I mean, Leah, would it be possible to speak to your mother? Amelia, what were they working on? Maybe you remember something.
So, assuming that we didn't see any of the stuff that they saw.
Oh, you sure did not.
Okay.
You saw them go. You saw them kind of like get like go stiff and like fly back against their chairs, and then just kind of like stare off into space for just a few seconds to you all, before they came out of it just like shaking and very unsteady.
So we can try and talk to my mom. She's not with it all the time, and memories get confused in a way that I've never been able to get clear information. But we can try. I've never heard her called Dad's apprentice before. So maybe that would shake up something else, but it might also upset her. And as far as I know, the only magic practice that she could do is psychomancy.
Could I this is not a blame, but could it be that your mother perhaps played a role in wiping our minds?
I'm sorry, say the last part again.
So, in altering our memories, I would not fault her for it. Obviously, whatever is, they were trying to protect us.
Wait,
or did he do it to her too?
Oh, good heavens!
You all just to clarify the timeline. You guys were kids a long time ago.
50 years. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say. I was actually going to bring that up. According to our memories, it was 50 years ago. With these extra memories added in, was it all longer?
No, that's about right. That's about the correct timeline.
Okay.
Yeah, I was worried about that too. I'm like, 150 years.
No.
So.
Leo will kind of freeze up a little bit when you do ask, if you voice out loud that, like, what if he had something to do with her?
Chaz would absolutely say that out loud. Did he do it to her too?
Yeah.
And she'll get like real stiff, and like kind of not, not make eye contact with anybody. I don't. And he wasn't a good person. But I don't. I just don't know if he could do that.
It seems like our father was interested in protecting us, and he saw more in shades of gray than we previously imagined. I can only think that whatever he was doing, I don't want to justify his actions. I'm sure what he was doing was an end justify the means kind of way. But if he did this to us, I would hate to think that he would be so wanton in protecting certain things and secrets by visiting harm on any of you sisters or your mothers.
What do you mean
What could
did
you
this
possibly
to us?
mean? Sorry, go for it.
No.
It appears that when we were children, Father wiped our memories.
Yes. I'm sorry, yes.
He wiped away our memories of our mother, assuming to protect her or us or some kind of twisted reasoning that he had.
There's a thing that Chaz can stop, but we're all involved, but this might span beyond this bloodline. This might span to your families as well.
I can't. No.
What?
Dad was screwed up in a lot of ways. There's no way he wouldn't. He wouldn't.
Cesar, you said that with his assistant, he was working on something. Something about Vesper?
Vesper seemed or related to that, but it means twilight.
That he was working on with Leah's mother before something happened.
Okay. Okay.
But wait, that like with my mom? Like definitely.
Do you know if they were successful?
What?
I don't know what it is. I don't know if they accomplished it. It was the only time we saw each other after I left the White Council.
And it was definitely my mom, not.
I met your mother.
What? Why does anyone think that matters? What does that mean? It means nothing. Unless any of you know what the fuck that is, it means nothing.
It has been a long day for all of you. I have told you everything that I know. And I would recommend you take a night, you rest.
But could you see her? Could you help her? Like if she didn't do this to herself, and if she was powerful once, then
These things are
could it go
beyond
back?
my ability to fix now. I will say, for your father to break the law of magic more than once, maybe twice, it would have marked him unmistakably in the eyes of any warden or wizard of the White Council. Doing these things creates an urge, a need. If he did it too many times, he wouldn't be able to stop himself. And I think he would have met his end much, much sooner, probably at the hands of a warden's blade.
I'm sorry, which... Are you trying to say that our father violated the laws of magic?
According to our memory, that's...
When we were children.
Yes.
To raise
At least
your memory of your mother, Dad...
Removed our memory of our mother, yes.
Violated the laws of magic.
Yes.
That's what's being discussed right now. Cool. Cool.
Not up for debate, unfortunately. We seen it. It happened.
and he might
And
have,
you're sure it's Dad? That Dad did this?
Yes. His face was the last face we saw. I imagine that being blood... Like, he racks his brains a bit. He's like, I'd like to think that our own mother couldn't cast a spell upon us. Can I get a lore check on that, maybe?
it's
You can get
easier
a lore
to
check on that.
Yeah.
it's easier to think that Dad would.
Yes, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Leah's gonna say it. I know it's dumb. Leah's gonna say it anyway. Yeah. And
Okay.
I want to go home now.
That seems like a good plan.
That's a 2. Not fantastic.
You could make it a 4.
Sorry?
You could make it a 4.
I could make it a 4. Is that like retro? Could I
Yeah, you can spend fate points after you roll. That's when you have to spend fate points. Actually,
so you can add 2 or immediately re-roll.
Right, exactly.
Got it. I'm going to make that a 4, and I think I'm going to use... It makes sense. Either the Mantle of Autumn or the Last Lost Lord of Autumn.
Okay. Last Lost Lord of Autumn, I think, makes sense in this case. And are you using one of the pool's points or one of your own fate points?
I have 2.
We got 4 left in the pool.
Yeah. You mind if I use a pool?
Go for it.
Yeah.
I'm going to use the pool one.
Okay, cool. You would know that Fae cannot understand mortal minds well enough to do something as subtle as changing memories. They can create illusions, they can make you see things that aren't there. But to actually alter somebody's memories so subtly that they wouldn't even be aware of it, that would take the skill of a very powerful wizard.
No. She would not be able to. Even the simplest brownie to the greatest lord or lady, they would not be able to alter our memories.
So he believed in this subject so strongly that he violated the laws of magic. Just the once that we believe because it's addicting, and if he had kept doing it, he would have fallen from grace. But then 20, 30 years later, something else comes up, and he has to do it again. But this time it's on a human mind, one that isn't his family, and he fucks it up. And she ends up not great.
I want to go home now.
That sounds like a good plan.
I think your sister is right. You should rest.
So, does your faith bring you the miracles of healing by chance?
If only.
That's fair enough. Sister, I believe there is a medical pack probably at home. We can see to your wounds there.
Whose wounds?
I'm so sorry. All the sisters. No, Leah.
All of us, we're all fucked up. No, I assume he's talking
Well,
about
we're all-
I mean,
Leah.
I'm probably like bumped and bruised, but I still have my eye, as it turns out.
Yeah, that
So
turned out
is
to
it,
be an
is it
illusion.
like a full 6 stress, like physical stress, or did that vanish?
So stress goes away at the end of every scene.
Yeah.
You only consequences stick around.
That's right.
Yep.
So I can change that, Mark, because I did put consequence because I was like, you might be losing an eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Don't. You don't have to do that.
Monoptic.
But
Very good.
Okay.
Noctis.
Cesar looks very concerned, and he will
Not
say,
losing.
I am in town for a few more days. If you need any more assistance with anything, if you don't mind me asking, what's your next move? And I think he'll probably be speaking directly to Noctis and Chaz. He's trying not to bring Leah into this, and she's clearly kind of distraught.
Brother.
I think our next step is that we have to talk to his former apprentice and ask her about Vespertini.
Yes, unsurprisingly, brother, we are of the same mind.
Cesar, we are indebted to you.
You have done us a service of great value.
There's no
I
need.
am no full Fae, but if you needed a favor returned, I would grant it to you.
Ow, ow. No.
He'll kind of put his hand over his heart and he'll say, if I were to do good things in exchange for favors or elsewhere or other things, then they would not truly be good.
Slightly less ow, ow.
Then you are free to contact me as you will then.
And you have my number, I believe.
This is also true. Suppose the ball is
Another button pops up now.
Another button.
He's got like 2 buttons left at this point. Like it's almost.
Might as well just take them all off. Like
Yeah.
that.
Oh my god. Well, actually, only one more button. If you you always leave the bottom button unbuttoned. Just
Right.
for sure.
That is
Shirts and vests and
fashion tips with the Madigans.
There you go. He's like, well, the ball is in both our courts. He said, all right, siblings. It gets up, but
And a 3-button suit is sometimes, always, never.
yeah. Actually, that's exactly.
The apprentice, you should speak to her. But there's a more pressing issue that concerns me.
Yes.
These are the attempts on
But
your
just trying to kill us?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a plan to deal with that?
Get behind the threshold for the night is number 1.
We are trying to rebuild it. It has been. He rolls his eyes, like his gold and black eyes, and he says it has been damaged since Father's passing.
Understood, but you can't stay behind the threshold forever. You may want to be proactive, maybe find some information. If there are fetches somewhere in the city.
We need to figure out who they are, report who's controlling them if they're not choosing to do this on their own, and why this is happening in the first place. I'm afraid that this Vesper thing might be related to it, but whether they want something or just want us dead are both important things to find out.
If only you could speak to a fetch.
That was actually on the agenda.
Yeah.
Why are you guys telling him everything? God.
Doc just looks at Ravenna and just kind of nods.
Yeah, I think a conversation would be worth having.
Then my recommendation would be to start there before you speak to the apprentice.
Okay.
Keep your family safe in the short term, then focus on whatever this is.
Thank you.
We appreciate the counsel.
Leah does not look like she appreciates the council.
That's fair.
Yeah, she looks like she was ready to dump the rest of that mezcal glass all over his pretty pants. But yes,
Handsome face. Siblings, shall we?
I think as we're starting to, as everyone's starting to gather, Ravenna's gonna try and pull Noctis to the side, or Jazz, whichever one is easier to separate. And is going to basically suggest that at least Leah, maybe Lexi, both seem like they could probably use a night of rest, but perhaps we should get those answers from those fetches sooner rather than later.
I'm going to say that Ravenna manages to pull Chaz to the side because Lexi is too busy pulling Noctis to the side, be like, so you're not hitting that tonight. I just want to be clear.
You told me not to.
I definitely want to have this. I feel like maybe Ravenna and Chaz should have their conversation before ours.
Yeah.
But I want to have that.
Yeah, no. I'm assuming they were having their conversation. They're having their good conversation off to the side of the important conversation, and it's very much like that. Lexi just dragged Noctis this way and be like, "So you're not hitting that tonight. That's didn't go well. You're not gonna."
I wouldn't say it didn't go well. And he says, he says, Lexi, I'm tired of people telling me to put my hands in the air. It's musical.
I do care.
I do so deeply.
I'm so sorry. What I'm trying to ask is where you want to put your genitals this evening, and if you want to put your genitals in that, is what I'm actually asking.
Noctis just starts laughing. It starts as a little, almost like murmur, and it just goes full blown, just warm, just kind of jocular laughter. He'll never be able to do a Santa laugh, but he says, Lexi, no. My genitals belong in my pants tonight. That is where I'm putting them, and that is where they are going to stay.
We're going to cut away from this before it goes any farther. And over to where Ravenna and Chaz are talking.
Yeah, I think that conversation is important to have, and I think that kind of place. I think the haunted house is probably more active at night anyway.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Ravenna. Here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to make a lore roll.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have that. I was just going to check just to be sure, but yeah, I didn't figure she had that.
Look, learnings.
Well, my luck continues with fate dice. That's a -1.
I mean, your presence roll was amazing. So
my presence is one of my best stats.
It was. You can spend a fate point. I would recommend spending a fate point. You can pull from the pool. You can do one of yours. And I think this is specific. This is information that is specific to the haunted house, which means fear is a drug would definitely work. Always eating never full would probably also work.
I'll do fear as a drug. I'll spend one on my own, and I'll try the reroll because I don't want to. A +1 is not great. Okay, +2. I'll take that.
Hey, all right, cool. With a +2, here's the thing about going to the haunted house, and this is going to be true tomorrow as it is tonight. But the thing about it is that if you want to get in and talk to a fetch, you're going to have somebody with you who can pass for mortal.
Who the fetch would be feeding or would be scaring, so that you would purportedly be feeding upon.
Gee, I wonder who of our siblings is close enough to mortal.
And neither of your sisters is quite ready this evening to pull that off.
Well, depends if you're willing to wait. But that is the thing here. You got to bring somebody with you, because you know Calliope, who is the person who's usually behind the desk at the haunted house, will be able to sniff out changelings or wizards.
Semi-drunk Lexi is over here talking to Nox, being like, no. Seriously.
He's just like, don't touch my beard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it that you want Cesar to touch your beard? Is that what the problem?
But weren't you angry with him a moment ago?
Look, I said a lot of things 30 minutes ago. We're not talking about 30 minutes ago. We're talking about right now. What do you want? Do you want him to touch your beard? Is that what you want, Noctis?
Or do you think you can wrangle this into the haunted house tonight? I mean,
So
that's an
I was
option.
actually going to say, Chaz, I'm going to offer you a fate point.
Ooh.
There are too many balls in the air. Pun not intended. And
Oh no. I know what's happening.
There are too many balls in the air, and things have to start getting done. You can't keep putting stuff off. So Lexi is going to, if Lexi's the one who has to go with Ravenna, then that's what has to happen. You live these streets. And there isn't always time to go home and get a little nap before you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, because to be honest, I don't know if Ravenna was going to make that call. And the opposite would have been probably some random mortal getting dragged along.
It's true.
I think it would be super weird for Ravenna to be like, hey, you can come with me. And like, I don't think Lexi would go under almost any circumstances with Ravenna. But if Chaz asks.
I was going to say, do you think that... All right, hold on. Family huddle. Come over here. All right.
Yes.
Who is in the family huddle?
Are we sitting here trying to decide if Noctis should go chase Cesar? Like,
Cesar's gone, by the way. Cesar's gone.
Oh, damn.
Almost
Okay.
as important.
Yeah, I know he's
to kill
gone.
us.
I'm trying to say, should we decide that Noctis should go chase after him and fuck him?
He may
Because the
very
answer
well
is
be.
yes, Noctis should get it. Like, get it.
You
I
had
wouldn't-
one spritzer.
I did have one spritzer, and it was a delicious spritzer. It was great.
Okay.
So we
We're not
need
sure
to
if
talk
we-
to this fetch at the haunted house.
Yes.
Nighttime is going to be the best time to do it. Tonight is the time
Which
to get this
fetch?
done while they're still trying to kill us.
Are we trying to talk to a fetch who tried to kill us? Is that what's
he's
going
dead.
on?
a different fetch. Ravenna would need to go into the club along with someone who could purportedly be her feeding partner for the night, who the fetch is supposed to be scaring.
Okay, are we trying to help Ravenna pick up like some random dude here? Is that what we're trying?
Not a dude.
No, a lady.
This is a good idea.
Fine, whichever. I don't care what Ravenna's
Lexi?
tastes are.
Lexi,
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to take care of this with her. For our lives.
We are under attack, sister. And not by paramours.
Bartender.
You want me?
Leah's just gonna go to the bar.
I need
go with
you
her.
to trust your sister.
To be the person who she is supposed to be feeding on in a place of people who are supposed to be feeding on like a bunch of vampires.
That's a cover. This is still your sister, who has your best interest at heart, and you need to trust her.
And Ravenna looks as uncomfortable as you as this is all being suggested, to be clear.
Ravenna is not unfamiliar with fear. Lexi. She will be able to help you prepare yourself, and it probably will never come to that. If Ravenna is successful, she may just be able to question the fetch.
Leah
I'm
comes
sure
back with
Ravenna
two.
is very familiar with feeding. That's what she does. I'm a little less clear on how she can do that with me in a situation where it's and I'm just supposed to be fine in a situation where my literal I'm a piece of meat and
You will not need to act that much. He said that this one's apricot and this one is peach. I don't know what the difference is supposed to be.
If you try to buy drinks with the bartender, he would look past you at Lexi and would say, "Yeah, no, she's cut off."
Oh, damn it. Okay, fine.
I'd like to try something different, and this is something I had in mind when I made the character, and I've never made it. But contacts is one of his highest stats because he lives these streets.
Yeah.
Do I know a guy who would know one of the guards in the haunted house?
Interesting.
Some member of security who I could ask to watch out for my sister.
Interesting. Yeah. I would say sure. Yeah. They have security. It's not a club, and it's not really it's not a bar. It's not a club. Yeah. They would have security for sure. So yeah, you want to roll contacts?
Yes, I would like to try that.
Can I give Chaz an assist?
Uh-oh.
Be like, do you remember that one person? Or like,
Yeah.
That guy might be going forever. Let me get another.
So we can do that, but with the way that'll work is that'll be your we'll say that it's you're just being encouraging, right?
Yes, but we've spoken, and he's like,
okay.
The war against the Supreme Court is shit.
That is a 4.
Agnar is always being this way, and Agnar. Well, I'll remember that name.
So you help him out. You remind him of this. You do remember that you know a guy named Chuck who does work security at a lot of different places, but among them the haunted house for sure. And he is a changeling with some ogre heritage. Big guy. You've maybe even been on a job or two with him before.
Yeah, I work with him. Chuck's a good dude.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, when you get inside, you look around, you see a guy, changeling, a little bit of ogre in him. He's a little extra hairy, a little extra muscly. His name's Chuck. You tell him that you're Chaz's sister, and he will watch out for you.
And this is important.
If we don't want to
find
die.
out
Yes.
stuff about Dad.
Why the changelings want us dead. Why the changelings might have killed Dad. Are they doing it on their own? Are they answering to somebody? There's got to be a reason for this.
Is it the Winter Court? Also, is Chuck Winter Court, or is he Freethe?
I don't think you actually know. He's a changeling.
I don't know.
So
yeah.
Oh, okay. So he hasn't made any choices yet, of course.
Yeah.
So,
okay. If
this is
that important, then
is.
I will do it.
I really appreciate this because I know how hard it is for both of you to do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Super important for the predator and the bait to go in together. Super difficult.
Damn.
Huh. Cool. Yeah. Let's do it.
Well, Ravenna, you and I can come up with a couple of simple protective measures for Lexi in case it does come to actually her being fed upon.
Some words that are safe.
Well, some words, safe word.
great.
Okay, point
Yeah,
for you.
you two talk about ways to keep me safe. Sounds great.
Well, I was thinking in minor but practical. There are ways to kind of like. There's probably ways of protecting yourself against harm.
Mental
I'm sorry,
exercises.
fear, right? Like there's like courage spells or like little trinkets. I don't have out of character. I don't have thaumaturgy, but I'm sorry, not thaumaturgy, but
Either
I think it
way.
is. I think it
Yeah.
is thaumaturgy, but you don't really need to worry. So the only real risk in this case, because the way that the haunted house works is you, the vampire, show up with the mortal that you're going to feed on, and then you basically rent a room, and you go to the room, and there's a fetch there, and then you both kind of feed off of the mortal. But the fear is much greater and much more heightened because the fetch can appear as your greatest fear. So really, the only risk is going to be once you're in the room with the fetch.
Yeah, I figured that like another vampire just being like, "Hey, she's cute. Mind if I take a bite?" No, that's very faux pas.
Yeah, it's very BYOM,
I know, man. But are there things like I'm trying to think of like a way I can like jigger like kind of like autumn court magic in order to kind of protect against fear somewhat. So like even just to give her like a I don't know.
I think that would be
place a thing on her.
so. I'm going to say you could do that, but I think you'd also be aware that it's risky, and they might sense it.
Oh,
You're
they'd be
putting
like,
on
wait a
a-
second, you have a ward on you, not so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like what about like an encouraging speech, like placing something like that.
You could do an encouraging speech.
or if like Ravenna has like okay, like there's actually this one trick fetches don't want you to know. Fetches hate her.
Oh,
in her court, so
yeah.
It's like the thing with when you put the blanket over your head, the monsters disappear. So you put the blanket over the fetch's head, and then it has an
Yeah.
existential crisis.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that thing is the cold iron bunny ear brass knuckles that Ravenna is gonna slip Lexi on the way there.
Okay. And I think with that being said, we're gonna jump to the Uber ride without Leah in tow. There's no risk of taking an Uber, and you can make your way there in probably very awkward silence in the backseat of this car. With
If
mercifully
everybody
quiet.
else is going, Leah might go.
I think it's only Ravenna and Lexi.
Yeah, it's only
okay.
the two of
All
them.
right. All right,
We are going to take you home.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. I mean, yes, that's fine. Yes. Okay.
We're sitting there in the back
Understood.
seat of the Uber, dead silence.
And dead silence in the backseat of the Uber. Ravenna, you're giving Lexi the brass knuckles.
Yeah, just gonna pull them out of the purse, and these are cold iron. If it gets bad, the fetch will not like this. Just take these.
Great, cool. Are they
Gave her
gonna
the
search
breath
me?
knuckles. Nice.
Do I need to like slip these up my hookah or something to like get them in? Or
I don't. I think just hidden in a pocket will be fine. I don't think they're gonna pat you down if you're with me.
cool. Totally rad. Okay. And sure, just gonna put them in the pocket.
Cool. And the Uber is going to pull up across the street from in a very seedy looking part of town. And I think that it's one of those situations where the driver pulls up, double parks, and then looks around and says, "Are you sure this is where you want to be?"
I don't know. Is it sure we where we want to be?
Not particularly, but it's where we need to be. Let's go.
Awesome. We're good. Thanks.
Drives off. You get out of the car and you are standing across the street from a row of seemingly abandoned buildings. And they are fairly decrepit, but they are all still standing. There's no sign of structural issues with any of them. And Ravenna, you would be aware that the basements of this entire block are essentially connected to each other. So under the ground level, it is basically one big complex. and the frames of the buildings above, as decayed as they are basically just for show. And the only thing really that gives this away, as you get close, you can see it from where you're standing across the street. There is a black metal door with no sign of a knob or anything at the bottom of a low staircase that leads down to like basement level. There's a single light that sort of extends outward, and it is it's a black light bulb, you can tell. And in the light from the black light, you can see painted on the door a green spider web. Or at least it glows green in the black light. Ravenna, you would know from experience that when that light is off, there's nothing there. You can't see it. And Ravenna, as you're standing there, looking across the street at this door, your mind drifts to the last time you were here. And you have this memory of being in one of the rooms down below. And there is a person that you've brought with you, a woman, we'll say. Doesn't really matter. And she is sitting there, shivering, terrified, as a giant snake is just coiling around her body. And she is like paralyzed with fear. It's written all over her face. She's like sweating bullets. She's completely frozen. Her eyes are kind of darting around, looking at the snake. And you are feeding off of it. You are feeding to excess. And at that moment, you hear a commotion from outside. Door bursts open to the room, and standing there with this sort of righteous fury written all over his face is the towering form of Alexander Madigan, your father. So-called.
And I think Ravenna's response is kind of a tense up, but also she's kind of like almost reacting slowly in like kind of a groggy state from this like kind of overfeeding. Her appearance like is very different from what like we're used to in the now. Like I think in the now, because of some of the vamp stuff, like her makeup is actually very subtle, but in the past there's like it's much more of like a more goth, spooky, like kind of horror style makeup. She wears a lot more like heavy like black clothing that's like covers up a lot of her skin, and like the parts of skin that can see almost look like gaunt, but like in a tight, lithe, like predatory way. Like vampires don't change body mass, but it's just the way that it's framed and kind of is. And her eyes are kind of in this very intense, like they've switched that kind of predatory look, almost like cat slits versus like kind of being rounder. They're like almost very dilated, and she kind of just takes a step back in like surprise and shock at seeing this like entrance.
The snake that is coiled around this woman releases her and slithers over to one corner and starts to coalesce into a being of pure shadow of Fetch. And without even looking over at it, your father kind of just like holds his hand up, summons a ball of magical light in his hand, and just like it rockets at this Fetch, knocks them into the wall. They collapse to the ground. He looks at the girl who is sitting there shivering in fear, nods his head at the door and says, "Get out." And then he takes a step towards you, Ravenna, and says, "We're leaving."
I think she just kind of like hisses at him, like very still in this like very like almost hunch predatory stance, and she's just kind of standing staring at him, and there's like a growling hiss back at him.
his expression is unchanging, and he will physically grab you with surprising strength for a mortal. And you're still a little bit out of it. You're still kind of like unsteady on your feet. You're kind of past the point of peak vampire strength, and you're basically drunk.
Yeah.
So if you want to get away from him, if you want to break his grip, you can, but he's going to try to haul you physically out of the room and presumably out of the haunted house.
I think it'll still be kind of shaky until they get like almost outside, at which point she's going to like immediately like try and break away once she's kind of gotten her like composure back a little bit.
And you can see someone who is like equally goth as you, though shorter, a little more unobtrusive, who you would know is Calliope Malvora, one of the proprietors of the standing behind the desk, kind of just like ducked down behind it, eyes darting between the two of you. If Ravenna were in a better state of mind, she might be able to tell that she's kind of like sending silent pleas, like, hey, please don't piss off a wizard in my establishment, and I don't want the trouble. But I imagine you're too far gone for that. And your father stands there in front of you and he says, what are you doing?
Why do you care?
I'm asking myself that same question right now, looking at you.
Father of the Year.
Oh, do you want me to answer for you? You care because now I'm a monster. That's the only thing you care about. You're monsters. You don't care about your children. You don't care about anything else. You care about the hunt. And now I'm something you can hunt. And what do you know? For the first time in my life, you show up.
Is that what you want? To be a monster?
I didn't get a choice. You made sure of that.
He's quiet for a second and he like turns to leave and then turns around again, like opens his mouth like he's going to say something, does that a couple of times. Like he wants to say something and he's not saying it. And he is going to say, everyone has a choice. Even the monsters. Everyone. And he's going to stand there. Like that's his big thing. You can tell that's what he's got to say. And he stands there and there's like a pleading almost in his eyes. Like he wants you to come with him. He wants you to leave with him. And he's not saying it out loud, but he is begging you.
Well, this monster's made hers. And she just walks back in.
And I think he says, as you walk away, quieter than a normal person would be able to hear. But you can hear it. And you don't know if he knows that you can hear it. You don't know if he's talking at the level that he knows you would be able to hear, or if he's talking at a level where he thinks you can't hear. But he says, sadly, with just heartbreak dripping from every word, it's not too late. You
It's
can
for
always
us.
choose. And as you stand on opposite ends of the hallway here, he will leave. Just the same big frame, but broken, like shoulders slumped. Any of the righteous fury, any of the indignation that he brought with him here is gone. And he is just a tired old man who has failed once again. And the door, the haunted house, swings shut behind him as he walks across the street. And as the camera rotates, we see that it's now Lexi and Ravenna standing there.
Okay, so what do I need to do to like be the appropriate, like what do mortals showing up at this place normally act like because who the fuck would show up at this place normally to get eaten? So clearly there's like a shtick or something. Like, what am I supposed to be imitating to do this? Like, fuck, man. Is there a specific fetch we're supposed to get? Like, do I need to have a specific fear to get the specific fetch you want? Like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Like,
You should just be nervous, which I think you've got covered. So I think we'll be fine.
yeah, I'm being brought in to specifically got like shown my greatest fear and fed on by a bunch of vampires. Yeah, I'm fucking nervous.
I didn't say you were wrong to be. I'll keep you safe as best as I can. And this will keep our family safe. I don't want to be here either.
Great. This really sucks for you. All right, let's do this.
You walk across the street, down the stairs. You knock in a very specific pattern on the door. It swings open. You step inside. The door closes behind you. And that is where we're going to end this episode of the Madigans.
Instant screaming. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We have been live from the apocalypse. This is the Madigans. This is our Dresden Files actual play about a very normal family of well-adjusted people and a very good father that they share. Yeah, that's going to do it for us here tonight. We will be back in 2 weeks with the penultimate episode of the Madigans. There are only 2 left, and then it'll be back to Veilbreakers. So we're going to sign off for the night. We'll find somebody to raid. But before we do that, go around. Anybody have anything you want to plug? Or if you just want to say goodnight to the people watching, totally fine. We're going to go in the order of our siblings once again. So Joe, if you don't mind kicking it off.
I don't mind at all. Kate, thank you so much for spending. You could have been anywhere, and you decided to spend your night with us. So thank you so much for that. If you are interested in me and like seeing comedy or an improv or just getting an update, you can get updates on the Discord. But if you want to get an update from my Instagram, it is at Comedy Showgates on Instagram. It's mainly just promoting this stuff because I love it so much. But otherwise, thank you so much for coming. Bye.
And I always forget to say this, but all of the links that people talk about and plug are down in the Twitch thing. If you scroll down, I did update it. So it's all there, including Joe's comedy show stuff. And next up in line will be Chris.
Okay, I don't really have anything to plug. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Don't forget to join the Discord for Live at the Apocalypse. It's all really just pet pictures and tattoos, but we have a lot of fun chatting.
We sure do. We sure do. Thank you so much, Rouge.
Hey, outside of all the things I do here at Live from the Apocalypse, my 2 most pressing things to mention are my band that I've been part of for the past decade, the Misbehaving Maidens, are about to have our final show as we all retire because we got into other projects during the pandemic. So by all means, go check out our website at misbehavingmaidens.com, no G. And you can find both of our 2 final shows we have planned in the next few months there, as well as when I'm not here at Life from the Apocalypse, I also do some moonlighting over at Guild Superior lately, and I will be on a couple one-shots with them coming up. So check them out as well. Fun times.
Liz?
I am Liz. Right now, all I'm doing other than this is Missing Numbers, so check that out. We just wrapped up a pretty major part of the plot, and now we're moving on to some other interesting stuff. So come check it out over there. But that's all I got going on right now.
We are officially in Endgame. I'm also in that game. And Vicky, Victoria.
I hope you enjoyed. Have a great night. That's it.
That's all it takes.
Our
That's
emotional
all it
damage is your
takes.
emotional damage.
Hey.
Yeah.
That's the LFTA guarantee.
We do this for you.
Yeah.
We
Invite
damage
other
ourselves.
Invite other people
You can
to
feel
come and share
our
with
damage
it, you
with
know?
us.
Yeah.
We go through trauma, so you don't have to.
If you've enjoyed this trauma.
Actually, I think it's we go through trauma so they can relive their own trauma. For
Vicarious
Very honest.
catharsis. Definitely not a thing. Okay.
And hey, if you enjoyed this trauma, tell your friends.
Oh my god.
Well
Bring them and be
timed,
like,
thank you.
you have no idea. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
have no
emotional
idea what
depth.
happened.
Like, yes, thank you,
Madigan.
OBX Geek. Yes,
It's true.
1,000%. Perfect timing.
A great date.
Absolutely.
A great date. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It is a great date. That's
It's
what
a
I
great
was.
date. Just to, like, bring a virtual friend and watch out.
We know at least one person tonight was watching this on date night. So shout out to you, Laura, if you're still watching. Hope
date night approved.
Hope date night went well. Hey, what's up? My name is Will. I run this game. I do a bunch of other stuff here too. I run and edit our Mass Actual Play podcast, Academy H. There was no new episode that came out today like there normally is on Sundays because life has been going a couple rounds with life, and life has been winning, let me tell you. So we're looking to drop that midweek. We record that live every other Sunday. This Sunday will be the actual end of our interlude story before we get back to the main story, which is about a group of burned super spies, and they're horrible and terrible, and they're on an island of supervillains. So that'll be a good time. Check that out. You can find that podcast anywhere you get your podcasts. I'm also in the other one, and so is Rouge, Cryptic Community College, which is Monster of the Week. That's also available wherever you get your podcasts. This week, on Tuesday, we're doing class reunion, and it's my birthday. So we're gonna run the session. If you want to stop by, if you want to stop by and donate, that would be an excellent birthday present. If you want to donate to the First Nations Development Institute on Tuesday night when we play class reunion, and that is a doozy. That is going to be a real doozy of an episode. So join us for that. Wednesday night, I'm going to be at Guild Superior. Speaking of Guild Superior, playing Vaesen with some other wonderful folks from our channel. It's an all LFTA cast, completely by chance, over on Guild Superior. And I think that is, Friday night. Jesus, we have a lot of stuff. Friday night is Table 1, Session 3 of a season of Secrets and Shadows, the Regency Monster Hearts game that JD, our very own JD, runs and I play in. And that's going to be a lot of fun. And come check it out.
It's great fun.
It's a lot of fun. So that's what we got going on this week. I think that's everything. So with all that being said, thanks so much for hanging out. As we previously mentioned, join the Discord community if you are so inclined. It's a great place full of great people, and we would love to have you be a part of it. You can also follow us on the socials, where we announce stuff and talk about stuff, and it's generally just a good time, and we would appreciate it, as always. But I think on that note, we're going to call it a night here. We're going to hop over to our friends at Percentile Vice, where our other friend, Carrie Smith, is currently running some horror games. So we'll say hi to them, say hi to Carrie, and be friendly. There are 2 raid messages in the chat. If you are subscribed, feel free to copy paste the first one. If you're not subscribed. Oh boy. Well, thank you so much for the raid. We are literally about to raid a different channel because we're wrapping up for the night. But we appreciate you stopping by.
Hope you come with us.
Along. Yeah, come
Pass
along
it
for the ride.
on.
We'll pay it forward. But on that note, copy paste the first one if you're subscribed. Copy paste the second one with the raccoons if you're not. And say goodnight, everybody. That's it for us.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.